order whenever you're ready.
All right, well, let's go ahead and do a call order then. Can we do do we have quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, your audio sounding good too, by the way. All right. Who's got an open mic? I think Jane, would you mind muting your mic?
Yeah,
Thank you. Chris and Benita, would you mind muting your mics too, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with the monthly reports. Honolulu Fire Department.
We're done. I'm sure it's up there.
Okay, nothing heard. Honolulu
Oh,
Police Department.
They're in person.
Oh, they're in
Sorry.
person. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
You guys hear me from here?
Yes, it's that.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Firefighter 1, Derek Leon, here from Engine 10, Aiea, over here at the high school. Just gonna go over, past months, statistics. So we'll go over fires. We had 5 nuisances and 12 activated alarms where there was no fire. And in terms of and a nuisance fire, rubbish fires or anything outside of the structure or a vehicle. And then in terms of emergencies, we had 111 medicals, 4 motor vehicle crash collisions. That about makes that up. So I'll go over our fire safety tip now for this month. And it's going to be wildland fire awareness, prevention, and preparedness. So, wildland fire significantly threaten wide landscapes, wildlife, and communities with dry conditions, activities contributing to that increased risk. So, it's crucial to take proactive measures to prevent and mitigate wildland fires. So, some tips, to use at home or wherever. You want to lighten the load, so reduce fuels and possibility of emission of your landscape by maintaining your yard and cleaning your gutters. You want to clear, cool, and contain. So you want to clear vegetation. 10 feet around campfires, barbecues. Keep a shovel and water nearby, and put them out cold before walking away. So if it were to happen and it's smoldering, try to fully extinguish the fire. Watch the spark. So, while using machinery, ensure that you watch, say like chainsaws, weed trimmers, or any recreational vehicles, operating with sparks to fire. So there's online resources. So you go to HFD, fire.holland.gov. Department of Emergency Management, holland.gov/DEM, and then Berkeley Wildfire Management Organization, which is hwmo.org/lookout. Are there any questions?
Any questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Board members? Excuse me, hold on for a second. Okay. Public, any questions for the Honolulu Fire Department?
I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your service. But have you gotten any emergency calls during the month?
You mean this third month?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we've been going. What is it now? The 14th. I don't have like an exact number of like what we've gone to until the end of the month, but for the next meeting. But yes, we have responded to medical emergencies.
Because I read in the newspaper that you guys get a lot of these calls and you might not have the resources to be dealing with them. I'm sure with your department.
That might be a little bit more above me, but if I can refer to an email to the Community Relations Office, which is hfd.nhb.gov. But in terms of like me to see something, I think our coverage is pretty good. Our stations are generally, we have quick response time. So I don't think generally for our department that is quite an issue. Maybe for say EMS or something, I know they're pretty stretched in, but we should be
Well,
fine.
yeah, well, thank you very much. I don't think, you guys get enough appreciation, so thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments for fire department? Okay, nothing heard. All right, thank you, sir, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate the report. Honolulu Police Department?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Lieutenant Iwasaki, District 3, Pro City. I have the reported incidents for April 2024. So March 2024, there were 9 motor vehicle thefts. There were 12 in April. Burglaries were 4 in March 2024. Burglaries rose to 6 in April. Thefts was 28 in March and 33 in April. And unlawful entry into motor vehicles, which is car break-ins, were 19 in March and it's 13 in April. So what I wanted to introduce to the board as well is I know every month we read these numbers, and the numbers really it just shows an increase or decrease in crime, but it doesn't really um, show the members where these crimes are occurring or what's occurring, or if for just for the community to be more vigilant, I guess. So I wanted to introduce if you go to honolulupd.org and info and resources, or you can just search it. If you type crime mapping, then that really shows you can type your address anywhere. You can move the cursor to a certain area that you want, and it'll show every crime that happened in that area. So instead of just like 9 and 12 and 6, these are numbers, but I think it's a really useful resource for the public to use, where you guys can see where these things are happening. So if you type your street, for example, Macaulay Street, and you see 5 motor vehicle thefts, and at least you can be more vigilant if you live on that street. So I just wanted to introduce that crime mapping, honolulupd.org, and it has a lot of information. Robberies, every crime you can think of is on there, and there's a map that shows where it occurred as well. So I just wanted to bring that up, so we don't just have these numbers for you guys, and at least you can the public can be more vigilant in seeing where these are occurring. And the safety tip of the month is yield to approaching vehicles while crossing, even if you have the right of way. So pedestrian safety tip, crossing the street goes 2 ways. The pedestrian should make eye contact with the driver. Driver should make eye contact with the pedestrian, and it's a communication between the two before you cross the street, just to be safe. And any questions?
So yes, I got a couple. Would you be able to put that link in our chat, by the way, so that way it could get captured into the minutes? That would I would greatly appreciate that. And then the second question about it is that is there a way for you to do like an overall mapping of the crime that you could like basically just give to our neighborhood commission officer, Logan Hutchinson, and then while you give your brief, we can put that up on the screen and shows where like all the hot spots are at for that month. And that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
so for next month, what I can do is we can it, not only the crime mapping, but what we can do is we can detail the incidents a little bit more in depth, meaning like
Okay.
motor vehicle thefts. And we won't give the specific address just for confidentiality, but we can say 3 on this street, 3 on this street, 3 on Waimana Home Road, and so forth. So that way, at least it gives more than just the numbers. If that's okay, if you agree with that.
Oh yeah, I think that is definitely worthwhile. So to see a general location of where our crime is happening in Aiea, that would be definitely beneficial.
Yes, yeah. I can do that. Yeah, I'll work on that.
I
And
suspect there's
I'm
a
not
few
sure about the
areas
map.
that are gonna be
I can
repeats.
try to.
So
Yeah. Yeah, and I can try to map it out and see if it comes out and how we can display it for everyone.
All right.
What would be the best way? So yeah,
Yeah, if you could just
uh,
like even print it like basically print it out as an Adobe PDF or something and just share it with Logan. He could put it up on the screen for you when you guys give your briefs every month. So
okay, sounds good. Logan, you got Logan's
Richardson.
last name, sorry.
Yeah, he can give you all the information.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, thank you for offering this. This is really, 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 really great idea. So thank you. Okay, we got a question from Francie. Go ahead.
Where's my audio? Shoot. Oh, am I unmuted?
Yes, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay. I can't find things on this new web. Anyways, I was wondering if there was an ATM theft in Aiea again. Another one?
Yes, there was. I have the sergeant right here. Where was the ATM? The last one was
It
There
was
was one here at
over by
Waimali
Aiea
Shopping
Bowl.
Center
It was
last
over by
year,
that area.
but this one
yeah, yeah,
was,
yeah.
was it the one
Yeah.
by the bowling
Yeah, I
alley?
believe it was the Aiea Shopping Center one was the last one that
Yep.
occurred. Yeah, that was the last. Yeah, we didn't have, knock on wood, we didn't have any after that. And our crime reduction unit kind of knows, has an idea who's doing them, so they're
So
definitely
they have,
watching those. Yeah, they have an idea who's doing them. Yes. Yeah,
okay.
so they're looking out for them and watching them. So
Is it the same that did the one out in Kapolei side too? Near a construction site or something? Because they had
yeah, I'm
construction
not
and at that
sure
one too.
because there are about 3 groups doing them. One of them is they're in jail now, so that stopped. But yeah, I'm not sure if the Kapolei and I know about the Kapolei one. I'm not sure if there's the same suspects. Yeah, I would say it's not, but yeah, and I don't think they live in our district as well. I think they're coming from the outside.
The one that happened last year at Waimali Shopping Center, any follow-up information received or?
No, that one I know that's the one they stole the bulldozer from the job site in Coral Ridge, and they drove it all the way. Yeah.
Oh my
So I don't think anybody was arrested on that one, but they have an idea who did it. But yeah, I don't think they had enough evidence to take them into custody yet.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any board members? Any other questions?
Can I just ask? I'm curious. How did they drive the bulldozer? They actually towed it?
No, they
Yeah.
drove it. Yeah, so they
They
stole
drove it on the
the
roads
bulldozer
without
from
getting
Coral Ridge.
caught?
Yeah, if you go to Coral Ridge, so we watch Coral Ridge a lot because if you go to Coral Ridge, there's a lot of um, bulldozers, equipment, tractors, all spread out in there. So they stole the bulldozer from there and they drove it all the way
To
down to
Waimalu
Waimalu. Yeah, and then they
without getting
used it
caught?
and they stole a truck as well. And then they grabbed the ATM with the bulldozer and put it in the back of the truck and drove away. So yeah, it
Wow.
ended up breaking, half broke, but they got the money part. And then we recovered the money out in Wahiawa.
Oh,
So right after they drove the bulldozer or stole the ATM money, for some reason they dumped it out in Wahiawa. So in the
So they're
Wahiawa
doing
district.
these thefts, these major thefts at like early morning or something?
Yes, it was early. It was, I think it was like that one was like between 3 and 4 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Well, you think that somebody would notice the truck they're driving on the road, though.
Right, right. It looked like construction because it was a flatbed followed with the bulldozer.
Oh,
So
oh,
yeah,
okay.
it looked like like construction. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board members? Chief, go ahead.
I know this is not in your territory, but on Brewer and Colville Street, there was a person who was trying to get into the mailbox last week. And I now see that the mailbox is missing. over there. Do you know anything about that?
No, I'm not familiar with that right now. I could always look it up for you and get back to you on that. So mailbox theft on Kaunohi happened last week.
The guy was down on the sidewalk, trying to get into the mailbox.
Oh, okay.
We called it in, and I don't know what's, but now there's no mailbox there anymore.
Okay,
And,
yeah, I can check on that and then follow up with that for you. Yeah, I'm not sure about that case.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions from board members? Community members, any questions for HPD? Okay, thank you, sir, for your report and look forward to seeing that map. So that'd be great. Really looking
Okay.
forward to that. Okay,
Take care. Thank you.
take care as well. Board of Water Supply?
Good evening, Chairwood, members of the Aiea Neighborhood Board, and members of the Aiea community. I'm Tracy Burgle with the Board of Water Supply. Our monthly report, one main break was reported in this neighborhood board district last month. That was on April 6th. That was an 8-inch main on Lipoa Street. This is in Lower Aiea. For general water announcements, I'd like to encourage everybody to please visit www.boardofwatersupply.com/protect Oahu water to learn the latest about the Board of Water Supply's operational actions in response to the Red Hill crisis. This includes weekly pumpage charts, recent drinking and monitoring well test results, Board of Water Supply news and updates on Red Hill, water conservation tips and rebates, and Oahu's water history. And that's it for my monthly report. I'll take any questions.
Hey, any questions for the Board of Water Supply from board members? Okay, nothing heard. Community
no.
members,
Lawrence has his hand. Yeah.
oh, I didn't see that. Sorry, go ahead, Lawrence.
Hey, hi. I just read an article today that was generated by the University of Hawaii. And according to that article, they did some research as far as cleaning out petroleum products. And according to this article, it said that chronic exposure to disinfection byproducts may increase risk of cancer. Humans exposed to unusually high amounts of some disinfected byproducts could experience liver damage and decreased nervous system activity. I was wondering, as far as what the university did as far as their research, is there any way we could have the EPA stop by one of our board meetings so we can discuss these issues with them?
So that is a question not necessarily for the Board of Water Supply, but that's a question for us. We used to have the EPA actually come and attend these meetings. But we dropped them off because there just wasn't really a lot of questions. So if we need to add them back on, get with me and I'll make sure that we add them back on, okay? And we reach out to them to see if they can attend.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right, board members, any other questions for Board of Water Supply? Okay, nothing heard. Community members, any questions for Board of Water Supply?
We have an in-person, Chair.
Okay, please. Ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but this is just, it's a question that I had, in regards to the update on the website. How often do you update the website, the state website for, the Board of Water Supply?
Okay,
And also Board of Health too, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Thank you for your question. We update the Board of Water Supply's website, that's boardofwatersupply.com, as information becomes available. As far as the state, you would need to ask them because we don't oversee any of their websites, or we don't post anything on their website.
The reason why I'm asking is, because when I checked the website, I guess it hadn't been updated. That, the update from the state site and, the Navy site were contradicting one another. So I was wondering, which do you refer to? Which would be more updated? Like, what would be the most updated information and what would be the most valid information? Because, it will affect certain community members' health. And, I think, it's fair to say that we should know whether it's drinkable or not, whether we should purchase Menahunia water or home and dry. So I
So-
think that's what
Hold on,
happened.
Trey. So how are they contradicting each other?
One is saying that the water is drinkable and the other said, no, it's not. It's still tainted.
And who was saying it wasn't drinkable? Board of
I
Water
can't
Supply?
remember right now. I can't recall that information. That's something I think both departments will have to go and do some research on. But when I did ask the question, no one knew the answer. So I heard from both ends, from two different sources, but I also heard contradiction on state side. I also heard contradiction on I don't exactly know which word.
Wasn't the Board of Water Supply though, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess maybe this is something that someone can take to either the Board of Water Supply, Department of Health, or Department of Defense.
Lady, I see you raising your hand. Just give me a second here. So Tracy, what is the position of the Board of Water Supplies on is the water drinkable or not?
It depends on whose water system we're talking about. Board of Water Supply is responsible for the municipal water system only. And so the information posted on our website would pertain to the municipal system only. I think the community member was asking about the military water system, which Board of Water Supply would not post
Okay.
information for.
Okay. So is there a state agency that is regulating this right now as well too?
Yes, the Department of Health has a safe drinking water branch that's been regulating water. And they're the ones that the Navy, I believe, has been working with, but maybe the.
Yeah, when we get to the Navy portion, you guys could talk to that then.
Yeah.
From any of the state reps or state senators online right now or in person, has the Department of Health from the state side been reporting any of this to you folks?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hi, Chairwood. This is
Hi.
Mike. My understanding from Department of Health is that they signed off on.
Okay, so they're saying that it's drinkable as well too.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. We'll try and get to the bottom of this. Definitely.
Kara, I have a question.
Chairman,
Yes. Go ahead.
Just for the person who shared, what is the timeline on this? Like, is this recent? You checked the website like within the last, okay, 6 months.
Okay. Any other questions from board members?
Another one from
Hi,
Laura.
Chair. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes. Go
Hello?
ahead.
Hi, this is Janelle Sanishi with the governor's office.
Uh-huh.
I can check with the Department of Health, but as far as I know, the Department of Health has not issued any no safe drinking water advisory. But I can check with them.
Okay.
But
Would
I
you
think they would know.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't get on WebEx. They wouldn't let me join. So
It's
I
okay.
just
You're on
did
now,
by
so
phone.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Lord?
the reason I brought up EPA was there was an article and it says a new study from the University of Hawaii at Manoa shows that chlorine mixed with petroleum in water can potentially produce inadvertent byproducts harmful to human health. So I'm not sure exactly where that article went, but that was my concern about the water quality and the Navy using chlorine to disinfect the water. The Navy may be inadvertently causing harmful byproducts by using chlorine to disinfect their petroleum in the water.
Mhm.
That's why I was wondering if EPA could step in and attend one of our board meetings.
Okay. In the meantime,
Thank-
Lawrence, could you take a little bit of time and see if you could find that article and link it in the chat for us, please?
I have it right here on my desk, but I'm not computer savvy, so I will try.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, board members, any questions for Board of Water Supply? Because I kind of want to get to Navy now real quick. So, okay, community members, any questions for the Board of Water Supply? Okay, nothing heard. Okay, Tracy, you're off the hot seat. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind attention.
All right. All right, Stadium Authority.
Hello, Chair Wood, members of the board, and members of the community. Our big exciting news for the new Aloha Stadium Entertainment District was that last week, Monday, May 6th, we did host the Community Engagement Conference. And I'm just going to go ahead and share our screen that shows the website access that you can use to get there. We have posted the information so you can see not only a write-up of the event, but also if you scroll down, you can see the actual video recording of the entire session. I've put the link in the chat so that you have access to that information. But a big, big, big mahalo to the representation that you had from your neighborhood board. We had Chair Wood and member Paul Glenn, who did a fantastic job sharing your aspirations, your desires, and concerns, along with representatives from the Aliamanu Salt Lake Foster Village and Airport Neighborhood Board number 18 and the Aiea Community Association. Together, the priority listed offers and our team for NASED say mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. You did a great job. You worked really hard. You organized your information. And the PLOs were so thankful. We got immediate thanks. I have a card of thanks that they want me to share with you. I will send it on to you, Chair Wood, for everyone else. And we are looking forward to this kind of collaboration continuing. So the next thing in our timeline is that the proposals from our priority listed offers will be due this July 31st. We will be selecting the preferred offer by September 30th of this year. And then you'll start going into another opportunity for another community engagement conference with that selected offer. And by June 30th, we'll be entering into a contract. And again, as we said before, then you'll start getting to a lot more heavy collaboration with our developers to move forward. So again, mahalo for all of your hard work and this very successful event. For legislation, the 2024 session is all POW, and both bills that supported the stadium and those that did not support the stadium all died. So we're really back to square one, just really neutral, no big changes. And then for outreach, our last newsletter was published on April 29th. The next newsletter will be on the last Monday of this month. So with that, I'll pass the microphone over to Samantha Spain to let you know what's happening at the stadium.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you. Just a quick update. So this past weekend, we did have our Major Reja event, which was held on Friday, May 10th and Saturday, May 11th. It was actually a smaller crowd, so it was very manageable. We did not have any incidents, thanks to HPD again for their presence. Everyone enjoyed themselves, and that we were able to close down the event at 10 p.m. So hopefully there was no challenges on the neighborhood side. But so the next actual concert that we are looking at will not be until July. As you can tell, if you drive by the stadium right now, we are starting to gear up for our 50th State Fair. So that will kick off on May 24th, and that'll run through July 7th. This year, they are scaling it back a little bit. So their opening days will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with the exception on Monday, May 27th, due to the holiday. Other than that, everything that you need to know regarding the 50th State Fair will be posted on our website. And I am open to questions as well.
Okay, well, thank you for both of you guys for the report. Chris, thank you for giving us opportunity to voice the community concerns that we have with the stadium project as it moves forward. I'd like to take full credit for that, but I would also say that my board and the community in general definitely was voicing their opinions. So it made that brief very easy for me to organize and type up. So not very difficult at all. But definitely thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk to the developers in the running, along with anybody else who was a stakeholder in that. And then as for the events, thank you guys for your efforts in that. I have yet to receive a phone call, so I think you guys pretty much have it down pat on how to manage that with the community. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Okay.
And Chair Wood, if I may, I just remembered one of the PLOs did have a question. They were a little bit slow on the draw that night. I'll read it for you tonight, but I'll also email it to all of the leaders for your community to think about, and you can email me back an answer. They
Okay.
wanted to know what commercial businesses or services, in addition to urgent care and grocery, which you all discussed that night,
Right.
does the community most need and desire? So what
Right.
commercial businesses or services in addition to those? So
Okay.
I'll email that to you.
Yeah, let me confer with the board on that, and then we'll get back with a response to you on that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, questions from the board members in regards to Stadium Authority? Okay, nothing heard. Community members, any questions for Stadium Authority? Okay, nothing heard. Thank you guys for your report. Really appreciate it.
Mahalo.
All right,
Thank
Pro
you.
Shopping Center, David. And I have been remiss about responding back to your emails. I'm sorry, I've just been really sick lately. So hence the reason why I'm doing this online too.
Chair Rick and members of the board, my name is David. I'm the general manager at Forward Center. Just want to give you a few quick updates on some new stores and events happening at Forward Center. The stores are primarily related to food and beverage, and we're really happy to have Steve's Chicken opening up in our Market Food Court. This is led by a local restaurateur named Steve Lee. The restaurant it is open. The chicken sandwiches, wings, everything is very like a Korean street food, and just very, very tasty. We're bringing our first Indian food eatery to the Providence Center, and they will be open right next to Mango in the former Lava Smoke location. The name of the restaurant is Bassoon. This is their second eatery on the island. And they're actually bringing in a tandoori oven. So you'll get the tandoori chicken, you'll get the kebabs, the naan breads. I think everyone is really looking forward to this, and they'll be opening on May 17th. And finally, we've opened a craft cocktail bar in the downtown Orlando High Food Court. It's kind of like right in front of Subway. The name of it is Valor Bar. They did a marvelous job on this build out. It's roughly 45 seats. Just looks absolutely fantastic. They also will be serving small plates, and many of the items that they'll be serving will be locally sourced as well. And I just want to finally just quickly point out that all of these eateries are all local owners, so I would ask that you please consider supporting them. Pop-up markets, I just mentioned, one of my favorites is the Island Craft Fair. These are 80 local artisans, entrepreneurs. Very much all their products are island related. And we do that event every third Saturday and Sunday of the month between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in our Market Food Court. Don't forget the Thursday and Friday night, the Thursday and Friday Zumba Go classes. They're actually growing in size. The Blood Bank of Hawaii, their next visit will be Friday, June 14th, from noon to 6, in front of the Markup parking lot, fronting a food court. And just to end with a event, Aloha Made Fest is a concert that we will be holding on June 21st between 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the Bamakai Sears parking area. They'll be featuring 4 to 5 local bands headlined by 2 very well-known local groups, Kalapana and Kapena. So let me also say that we have spoken with the promoter, and they will be a different setup for this concert. So the stage will be facing Cam Highway this time instead of Malka. And I think that was something that was talked about, and we've had that conversation, and they've agreed to do that. And that's my summary. Any questions?
Okay, board members, any questions for Pearl Ridge Shopping Center? Okay, nothing heard.
Lawrence has his hand up, Chair.
Lawrence, go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard Planet Fitness is planning on opening at Pearl Ridge Mall. Do you know the hours of operation?
Yeah, that was pretty quick. But yes, that is a signed deal. They will not be taking possession of that until very much later in the year because of permitting issues. It's a very big space. I don't have their actual hours. And just because we haven't had a lot of conversation with them on the operations side, we're still dealing with their drawings and, so on and so forth.
Okay, I had another question. I noticed there's more houseless individuals walking in Pearl Ridge Center. Is there any policy as far as refusing right to serve or service people at Pearl Ridge Center?
Well, in all honesty, if they're not violating anyone that comes into our center, whether homeless or whomever, if they're not violating our code of conduct, then we don't take any action. But of course, if they are, and there are violations of code of conduct, we've had a few of those, that we will put them on trespass. And with HPD's help, we will have them escorted off the property. It continues to be a challenge for us. I think it continues to be a challenge for a lot of entities on the island, but we do the best we can. But there again, there's got to be a code of conduct issue before we don't judge just on appearance and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, board members, any other questions? Okay, community members, any questions for Pearl Ridge Shopping Center?
We have one in person.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am. Or is it Claire?
Yeah, Claire.
I think when public, I don't know, a while back, you asked for Steve and myself to go to Pearl Ridge to talk about maybe the space at Toys R Us. Is there anything happening there?
Short term, we're bringing back Spirit Halloween. The Bed Bath and Beyond, we'll be doing a Kinky Kingdom starting in September. It's like a big kids playground use. But as far as a Sears box or anything, like major announcements, still nothing to really.
Where Toys R Us?
But not long term, other than the Spirit Halloween for the Halloween season. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Claire. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, nothing heard. All right, thank you, David, for your report. Appreciate it. Okay, Vic and Lydia, come on down. All right, Navy.
All right. Aloha, Board Chair. Hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
And to everybody here. And we have a few updates for you tonight. I'll start off and then turn it over to Vic. I brought some copies of our weekly Ho'olelo that the Navy region puts out. It's a collection of 6 or so different stories. It's on our website. It's also on Divids. If you subscribe, you can get push notifications about Navy region Hawaii news and photos, et cetera. But again, I do have printout copies over there. And we'll put copies in the chat as well of that and some other items that I'll bring up next. Navy Closure Task Force updates. They are having an open house tomorrow, Wednesday, May 15th. Hopefully you've already seen that notice. If not, there are some flyers over on the table also. There are some QR codes that give information about the open house. It'll be at the Oahu Veterans Center from 5 until 7. And that Veterans Center is at 1298 Kukila Street. I think many people know where that is. We're hopeful that the weather won't be a problem tomorrow. I know it's been an issue everywhere on island. So please be safe, but we hope to see you all there if you have any questions. If you don't already have the app, please, no matter if you have Apple or other phone, that app is downloadable. Great way to get push notifications on what the Closure Task Force is doing. Some other updates, they've announced swarm team results about the water quality. And I'm sorry the lady who was here earlier isn't still here because I was going to mention that the Department of Health is the one that had certified the Navy water 2 years ago and has continued to review all the testing from that long-term monitoring. That ended at the end of March, and so the Navy's doing extended drinking water monitoring and still sharing those results with the regulators and then post them on our website. And the safewaters.org website is where all of that information is posted. The Navy Closure Task Force also put out an operational update recently. That link will be in the chat, and it captured a lot of different progress that they've been making, removing the AFFF from the facility and some other work. So we encourage you to look at that. And I believe that's all the updates I have from there. But again, please download the app. Please go to the open house tomorrow. That's a great way to talk to the subject matter experts on what's happening. And if you have questions, you don't have to wait till the board meetings to ask us. I think you have Vic's and my emails. We're always happy to talk with you. Over to Vic.
Thanks, Lydia. Interpret Naval Facilities. Yeah, boat tour was a great success. Thank you those of our Aiea neighborhood board that attended. And as we do more tours in the future, when I get some dates, I'll let you know. Navy's hiring. Navy's hosting a virtual job fair. There's various job openings from trades, admin, emergency responders. Can be found on LinkedIn, Facebook. Also, NAVFAC is opening trade apprenticeship programs. And the board has that web address. They can contact the board or come see me. We'll give you that web address as well. And on April 20th, 400 bike path cleanup was very successful. It was coordinated by our Navy Closure Task Force folks. 10 sites were cleaned and cleared. Big mahalo to Kealaho for the awesome work with helping us. Over 2.5 tons of various rubbish was collected and success. So hopefully we can stay on top of that. That's all I have. Are there any questions for Lydia or myself? Thank you.
I do have one.
Oh, go ahead.
RIMPAC, that biennial exercise will be starting at the end of June. I don't have any solid information on that yet, but because of board schedules, I just want to make sure all new. So what we'll do when we get information on that, we'll send it to the board so that you all can share it around. I don't know what the recess plans are, but we'll also have information on our website. But if you have any questions, please let us know.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Lawrence?
Yeah, I have a general question. I know that when the water was first contaminated in 2021, as far as the water going out to the base users, was it still coming from Red Hill or was there another water source?
Thanks for the question, Lawrence. The majority of the Navy's water comes from up in Waiwa at our Waiava shaft. So more than 75% of our water normally comes from there. There was only a little bit that was coming from, so the Delta would have been coming from Red Hill and the Navy Aiea Halava shaft. The Red Hill shaft was shut down. I believe it was November 20. I don't have those dates in front of me. So that well was shut down shortly after the concerns and the complaints were coming in. So since then, all the water, and that we have not used the Navy Aiea Halava shaft either. So since then,
for the last 2+ years. The water has solely come from the Waiabashap up in Waiwa.
And as far as the system, I know I read reports that the Navy used chlorine to flush the water system out where the Navy users are, the community. As far as the Navy using that chlorine, was any studies done as far as possible effects of the chlorine with petroleum, the petroleum products?
2 items on there. I'll give you kind of the 30,000-foot level, and that will hopefully answer your questions, but we can follow up if needed. The flushing that was done was done based on an interagency approved method. So Department of Health, EPA, and experts from business came in and said, this is how you flush a system, and it was done with water. So the system was flushed with water. Now, if you look at water quality reports, I believe that most water treatment or water purveyors use chlorine to treat water. So that is, I believe, and across the board effort, Vic is nodding his head here. We do have water quality reports available, but again, chlorine, I'm pretty sure is used as a standard for most water purveyors. But we flushed the system, the water system with water is what we used.
Yeah, and Larry, we're overseen by Department of Health, and EPA as well. And ELN dictates to the Navy how much more water we use for this flushing operation. So all that information, all of it, is found in the Safe Waters website, and you're more than welcome to go on there and get up-to-date, accurate information. It's all right there. Even last month, I brought the reports with me for anybody to review, and quite a few people reviewed it, so all good.
And our water quality reports are done annually. Those are posted on the website, and you can see the details in there.
Yeah.
Okay, to follow up on that, I know I requested with Chairman Wood to have EPA come to our board meeting. If they come in, would they be familiar with what's going on at Red Hill, or they would be a different entity there that wouldn't know what's going on?
We work with EPA on a regular basis. We're meeting with them constantly. I just don't know who would be here from EPA, but I'll leave that to the board chair to discuss.
Yeah, and we're regulated by EPA, Larry. They're the regulators. We're the regulated.
Well, we have a unusual circumstance occurring at Red Hill, and it's not something common that's occurred across the United States. So our situation, I believe, is a little bit different.
Well, I think this is more of a question for the EPA, Lawrence, not Navy.
Agreed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions for Navy? Okay, all right. Somebody?
Whitfield.
Okay,
you
go
hear
ahead. Go ahead, Francie.
Well, I kind of want to follow up on Higa's question. I'll email him and the EPA representative and help them get connected and go from there.
Just send it to the entire board when you do that, please. Okay.
Huh?
Send it to the entire board. Just don't send it to Mr. Higa. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Make sure Logan's on it too, so he can
Yes.
reach out to that person to get him to attend. Okay.
Chair?
Any other? Go ahead.
Quick question. Is there an EPA representative that you folks would recommend that we reach out to that you folks have been particularly working with?
Dominique Smith is the liaison. The community.
She's no longer
Yeah,
there.
she's no longer
She's not there anymore.
working on this part. I'll find out from our team.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Can you get back to me on that, Lydia? On who the rep is?
Sure.
Thank you.
We'll email the chair and the board once we find out, but we'll need to ask our team that works with them, because it's our subject matter experts that work with theirs, so.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, can we move on, guys? Any other questions? One more time. Okay, nothing heard. Thank you guys so much for your report. Much appreciated. DOT, Casey?
Yes. Good evening, Chair. I hope you can see my screen here. Good evening, Chair Woods, members of the Aiea Neighborhood Board, Casey Albert from the State DOT Highway Division. At last month's meeting, there was a concern about covered mounds of rocks and dirt on the right-hand side of Moana Freeway as you approach Aiea. The location was used as a staging area for recently completed Moanalua Freeway lighting projects. The covered mountain rocks were removed on Thursday, April 11th, and the area was hydro-seeded on Friday the 12th. This picture was taken on Wednesday, May 1st. I apologize about the picture being a little blurred, but at last month's meeting, there was a concern about pavement striping along Moanalua Freeway, especially the yellow median striping. Our Moanalua Freeway resurfacing project will start this Sunday, May 19th, weather permitting. The project will resurface the westbound lanes from Fort Shafter off-ramp to the Uluni Street extension and the eastbound lanes from the H3 exit to Ala Kapuna Road overpass. Work will be done at night from Sunday night through Friday morning and during the days on Sunday. And last month meeting, I mentioned I received an email from Senator Elefante about down sign at 99-279 Moanalua Road. Our maintenance crew reinstalled the down sign. At last month's meeting, I mentioned I received an email and Google Map from Tricia Ripelli from Councilmember Radian Cordero's office, expressing the constituents' concern about potholes along the eastbound on-ramp to the Moanalua Freeway. Doing a quick field check, I noticed there are a lot of potholes. I am working with our Oahu District Office to have their maintenance crew to patch these potholes. I'll need to report back in a future meeting. I'm still working with our district office to have their maintenance crew address the graffiti problem along Aiea Heights overpass, which I reported at the March neighborhood board meeting. But during my quick field investigation yesterday, I noticed additional graffiti in the Aiea neighborhood board area. This picture is on the H1 freeway going westbound. I also noticed a new homeless encampment returned along Lilia Place near the Aiea Heights Drive overpass since we had not installed a new gate. I'm working with our homeless coordinator and we'll hope to remove the encampment by this Friday. I will also follow up with our Oahu District Office on the status of installing a new gate to prevent future homeless encampments. I want to thank Senator Elefante for his April 23rd email and the picture of his overgrown vegetation at the corner of Kealaluinia Drive and Halava Heights Road. During my field investigation, I noticed the overgrowth extended to the next door home at 99-950 Halava Heights Road. I am working with our maintenance crew to cut back the overgrowth that is intruding into private property. And finally, I want to thank Senator Elefante for his May 5th email and this Google Map picture about overgrowth vegetation at 99-917 Halava Heights Road. I did a quick field investigation and noticed the overgrowth. The overgrowth was blocking the sight distance for the homeowners trying to exit their driveway. Our district maintenance crew quickly cut down the overgrowth the next day on May 6th, since it was causing a safety hazard. This picture was taken on Tuesday, May 7th. And with the overgrowth removed, homeowners now have a better sight distance, but they still need to be careful when exiting their driveway. This concludes my report. Board members or elected officials can email me any concerns they have about the state highways. If you can attach pictures or a Google map to the location of your concerns, it will be greatly appreciated. I can take any questions at this time.
Before I get to the board, I do want to point out, this is not in our district, but I think it's in Salt Lakes. There's a street, Mahioli Street. Here, I'm going to show you real quick. It is, the striping along this portion of the road is gone now. It's causing a lot of, along this edge right here, cars just, since the striping is gone or barely visible, they just pull in here to make a right turn this way. And then some are actually sitting in this lane to make that right turn as well. So it's causing a lot of problems. I see tons of people constantly trying to make this left turn in this little strip right here, which is not supposed to be a turn lane. And then they're, honking and throwing hands up when they're trying to make a turn as well here when that's the actual lane. So I think the state needs to get out here and take a look about restriping this particular section of road.
Okay, I will investigate that and report back in next month's meeting.
Yeah. And then this is all full of potholes in here as well too. So just take a look at it. Okay.
Yep.
All right. See how I can stop. Okay. All right, board members, any questions for DOT? Okay, nothing heard.
We have Lawrence and Russell
Oh,
online.
Lawrence, again, I should just default to Lawrence from now on. So,
Yeah, I had a
okay.
general question.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a petroleum line running along Camp Highway. Is that line still active, and whose jurisdiction does that fall under?
Okay, I will have to investigate and get back to you next month.
Okay, because the question was how often is it tested, and if it is tested, I'm not sure because the line is old, so I'm not sure if there's any test results available.
Okay.
Thank
Oh.
you.
Okay, Russell?
Yeah, Casey, if DOT can check that portion of DOT highway by fronting Sam's, I believe that's Kamehameha Highway, going towards Wahiwa and by Pahu, you know, that place where you have the rail stop.
Yes.
That area during the last weekend traffic was backed up the entire way, and it's because there was extreme flooding. I think there's the grade or something about that portion of the highway is probably defectively designed, considering the amount of rain and drainage that is going through that area. Because it was flooded, 2 lanes all blocked because of the flooding. Because the water was really high. People were trying to be careful not to get stalled. Yeah, you know where I'm talking about, right? Right
Yeah,
after you, yeah.
That's right. That's there's these 2 speed humps that was
Yes,
installed in
yes,
that area.
yes,
In that area.
yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, nothing heard. Community members, any questions for DOT? Okay, nothing heard. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Casey, for your report. Okay, let's move on to board business. Filling in a vacancy. We had one interested person, however, that person doesn't actually live in the sub-district. So we weren't able to ask her to apply for that particular open vacancy. Is there anybody who does want, that lives in that particular sub-district of sub-district number 4? Is there anybody who wants to apply for the vacancy? Okay, nothing heard. We'll go ahead and move on. We'll move on to the CDC OCCC update in conjunction with another. There's going to be 2 updates here. So this, and then there's going to be another OCCC update that is in line with this. So we'll start off with the CDC first.
Oh, okay. All right. Good evening. I will turn this immediately over to our team. Thanks for having us.
Sorry, technical issues.
Caroline, we could see it.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, you only got 30 seconds and then we'll move on. Oh, okay, you're good.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry about that. Good evening, Aiea Neighborhood Board. We're grateful to be able to report out on our efforts related to envisioning alternatives for OCCC. While our engagement process is still ongoing, we have held a total of 114 talk stories with impacted individuals, family members, direct supporters, caregivers, victim organizations, cultural and spiritual leaders, community members, and elected officials. We have visited and held listening workshops with residential stabilization and treatment centers, transitional housing, health centers, cultural preserves, churches, and vocational and navigation programs. In addition to our 3 Breaking Cycle Symposium events, we held a workshop at Aiea Elementary School, participated in the Restorative Justice Summit at UH Manoa and Key Project Job Fair, and showcase exhibits at the Hawaii State Capitol for UH Manoa Research Day and Mental Health Day. All of these events allowed us to share knowledge and gather feedback on our work. We want to remind everybody that our recordings and videos are available on our breakingcyclesymposium.org website. Today, we're going to preview some of our preliminary recommendations that we hope to further develop over the summer in monthly community of practice meetings. These are not our final recommendations. Tentatively, the first COP meeting will focus on repositioning, population, and programming. The second meeting will focus on design considerations and alternatives, and the third will share out components of our preliminary report. Following these meetings, our team will submit a final report to DCR. In the long term, we're hoping that this community of practice will evolve into an advisory group that provides guidance to the governor's office on issues related to justice system reform. We're working on a way to facilitate that transition and have been in conversations with the governor's office to do exactly this. Again, these are just preliminary recommendations. Starting off with the system, we recommend that the state initiate an official state and community-led cross-sector planning process to reduce incarceration. Most equivalent efforts across the U.S. were spearheaded by a county with jurisdiction over the different justice-related agencies in partnership with community members. We recommend a similar process here. The state would need to identify the lead agency, identify a working group, develop system recommendations, develop a roadmap and implementation plan, and set concrete population benchmarks similar to the 2050 sustainability goals. We recommend state-mandated goals to ensure that agencies work together to achieve these goals. We will report out on all of our system-level recommendations that we've gathered, but we think this warrants a separate and dedicated planning process with multiple agency and community leads. Tonight, we want to focus on facility recommendations. First, we want to articulate who the facility is designed for. Based on community and stakeholder feedback, we propose a framework that highlights individual, staff, and community health and well-being. Proposers should indicate how they address health and well-being for each of these stakeholders. Scoring should reflect how well they do this. We are also part of many conversations that focus on how Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander concepts of health and well-being are different from Western concepts. A health-focused facility needs to incorporate these different worldviews and approaches. We recommend renaming and repositioning the new facility in line with the department. This builds on the positive momentum and communication about the department's January transition. We are thinking of this similar to the renaming of San Quentin, which is still a correctional facility, but one with a new focus on rehabilitation. This would include establishing a mission, vision, values, purpose, and target population for the facility, and make sure it's all clear in the RFP. Consider facility names that elevate rehabilitation, transition, navigation, and reconnection. A new identity would also help with staff culture change. A new hybrid facility type might increase opportunities for other partnership and funding. And we do realize that renaming is difficult because of program IDs, positions, and funding are currently tied to OCCC, but our conversations with many of you have expressed the desire to do things differently.
We also recommend planning for alternative population parameters. This means that proposals address alternative population scenarios. Off-site facility investments are made from the state in parallel to jail investments to redistribute this population across community and government-operated facilities. Designs should also anticipate decommissioning and adaptive reuse for behavioral care or other needs. For example, in these 3 alternatives, there are 1,300 beds for individuals that need care. The first is in the AHL program report. The next 2 locate some of the furlough and transition beds offsite, which is preferred by the community. The last alternative anticipates 235 fewer individuals if diversion programs are in place per the population forecasted in the 2019 report. Another recommendation is to consider a small, secure behavioral care center. Earlier, we invited a speaker to talk about their behavioral care center, which is co-located with their jail. Stakeholders from legal and judicial sectors noted the need for a secure behavioral health center, as this is a missing part of our diversion program in Hawaii. Our contacts from the Pima County, Arizona, and Miami-Dade, Florida also noted the importance of having a secure behavioral health center as part of a well-functioning crisis and diversion system. A co-located behavioral care facility could receive separate funding as a federal qualified behavioral health center. This could be a small 20-bed facility. It does not have to be a huge capital investment. New positions for health-related staff might lead to less vacancies and more qualified professionals in corrections. There's also a co-located BBC and jail in development in Sonoma County. We also recommend establishing a community partnered transition center. Because the jail is a short-term facility, reintegration is central to the facility. We want to point out that there is a community transition center in all of AHL's planning and programming reports. The community actually seems to be more interested in the transition center than the jail, or would like an entire jail to be thought of as a transition center, which is why we started with renaming the facility. So far with this transition center, the community prioritized case management, peer support, workforce training, job placement, cultural programming, family reunification, substance abuse treatment, housing, and permanent housing placement. This transition center needs to support both jail and prison reentry. The transition centers should be partnered with supportive housing providers that are able to offer some type of step-down options, including residential treatment programs, therapeutic living programs, and clean and sober living programs. Without the step-down, individuals are prone to recidivism. The facility could also provide lease space for community partners that will support the transition center, jail population, and community. For example, a Native Hawaiian health organization could lease the space and provide ho'oponopono, la'au lapa'au, or peer support services both inside and outside of the facility. This facility could provide lease spaces for public agencies to connect with people with their public services, and stakeholders could also advocate for the provision of social enterprise space, for example, a commercial kitchen or automotive shop that would allow transition center residents to earn a living and develop job skills. We look forward to clarifying the program for the transition center with the community. Invariably, there will be individuals released before they can be connected to support services. An offsite annex that provides case management and navigation just outside of the project limit would support jail releasees and potentially prison releasees from HCF. This could be entirely run by a community partner or another department. In Pima County, Arizona, their concierge is a trailer building staffed with 4 navigators, which are typically individuals with lived experience, 2 to 3 admin staff, and a space for 6 to 8 beds. Even further off-site, we are proposing a state or city-led restorative care campus on the current OCCC site. We hope that the state can be proactive about what should be developed on the current OCCC site. The site has historic importance, and its redevelopment can signify the state's move from punishment to care. We are recommending a mixed-use restorative care village that provides recuperative and assistive care housing options for individuals coming out of the hospitals, treatment centers, and incarceration. This project could be led by the governor's initiative. This housing would be tied to hospital treatment centers and correction releases. The site offers a more central location closer to family services and jobs. Another recommendation is to provide staff trauma healing or healing informed training in existing facilities. There is an unyielding call for more training in de-escalation, normalization, dynamic security, and occupational health and wellness. We want to report DCR is about to participate in the Wellness and Resilience Summit on May 31st. And DCR also just signed an agreement with Windward Community College to provide trauma-informed training courses to correctional staff.
The following items relate to the design process itself. The first one being to include sustained community engagement into the RFP criteria. So we will work with stakeholders to draft reasonable and respectful structure for community engagement with the proposer. We recommend that community engagement is included in the selection rubric, and we want to recognize that all the time that DCR and AHL has invested in engaging the Aiea community is important, and that future teams should continue to maintain these relationships. The next one being to request community and cultural expertise in team qualifications. We recommend that proposers include consultants with local, cultural, and community expertise on their team. Similar to expertise in civil or mechanical engineering, we want to design teams to have expertise in community and cultural affairs. The selection rubric should assess sensitivity to place and culture. And moving on, we will continue to discuss design considerations, most of which we have already shared with you. So we are revisiting this program adjacencies, and these preferences for program adjacencies, such as separating pre-trial and sentence populations, a one-stop shop for services, or a program-centered configuration. We have also gathered feedback for site design considerations. These include things like an orientation to a central green space, access to smaller landscape areas, smaller units for the sentence populations, graduated housings, and a few more that we will workshop with stakeholders. We also intend to share out conceptual approaches to some of these facilities. For example, these are 3 approaches to the design of the Community Transition Center, which can range from a rehabilitation center / health facility, a mixed-use housing project like in an urban setting, or a smaller scale therapeutic village. We will invite participants to comment on these alternatives. We will also report out on relevant research and feedback gathered about lighting, noise, views, temperature, layout, sizing, etc. And we are also putting together a Designing for Pilina document to act as a primer for local designers and especially non-local designers to share what we've gathered on Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander values and practices that relate to the design of this facility. Pilina is a Hawaiian word roughly translated as relationship, which came up frequently in our conversations. This compilation would highlight spaces that would support important relationships with the Aina, the land, Ohana, family, and Akua, the spiritual world. Finally, we don't have this yet, but we will produce design scenarios for the whole site later in this process. This will include site designs and renderings like this one, which is for Halava, to help manifest the visions that many of you have shared with us. And we are about to send invitations to our community of practice meetings. We're hoping to host another round of workshops with some of the groups that we met earlier in this process, especially with those who are in treatment or re-entry institutions that are not free to attend our meetings. Everyone is invited to join, and our first meeting will be on Wednesday, June 5th at the UH Manoa School of Architecture, room 215 and 214. We will also present out our progress virtually to all of you here through the summer. Again, if anyone else has questions, please feel free to reach out to our team. With that, we'll take any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on to the next brief about OCCC, Russell, you had a question?
Probably more of a comment than question. I don't know if I heard wrong, but what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, this seems to be a drive to pushing what we all understand to be a prison to like a behavioral center. Is that what I heard you folks are leaning towards? And number 2, if that is correct, number 2, I think that decision, when you say community, I don't know what community you spoke to, but that should be a decision put up to the voters, perhaps in a vote, because that is a major transition and shift of changing PSD over to something more like a Department of Health facility, like a mental health facility. When we have murderers, rapists, etc. in there. Number 2, this thing about a transition center and that you're saying the community wanted a transition center and it's going to be outside the perimeter of this facility. Are you referring to Halava? And if that's so, are you saying the Aiea residents welcome this kind of transition center? Those are my issues and comments. Please respond.
Yeah, okay. So Russell, I'll do my best. And then if anybody from DCR wants to chime in, I'll let them follow up. But the first, your comment about turning this facility into a behavioral care center, that is not what we're communicating. So first, this is a jail facility. It's not a prison. It's a short-term jail facility. What we were proposing.
This is OCCC.
This is OCCC.
I mean,
OCCC is a jail.
converting together with Halava, a maximum. I understand it's a maximum security prison.
No, that's not true. OCCC
That's not
is
true.
a jail.
Medium security.
They're proposing a jail.
Which is how many days?
Well, it's for people who are sentenced to less than a year, but there's a kind of range of stays depending on when people are sentenced and how they move through that system. But to get back to the behavioral
So where
issue.
then would the murderers and rapists go?
Well, pre-trial, everyone is held
No,
in
convicted.
jail.
Conviction.
Convicted, they go to prison.
Okay, and where is that going to be?
That can be, various various.
So you're saying not not in Halava? Is that what you're saying?
They could go to the Halava Correctional Facility,
Okay.
not OCCC. OCCC is a jail.
I understand, but it's coming over to Halava. Is that correct? Everything is going to be housed in Halava.
There are
They'll
actually
close down the OCCC facility out in on Dillingham.
correct, and there are 2 sites in Halava. So that DCR will, be engaged in. There is the existing Halava Correctional Facility that will remain in its location.
And that's the prison.
And that is a prison, correct. And this OCCC project is proposing to be relocated onto the Halava Animal Quarantine Site, which is closer to the freeway.
And that will be the jail.
And that will be a jail.
And that will be a jail, not a behavioral center.
Correct. The proposal right now is for the relocation of OCCC, which is to relocate the jail functions, and the current planning report is proposing a community transition center as part of that facility. What we just put forward.
Wait. Okay, we talked about jail. Okay, and
jail.
I asked about the behavioral center, then you just mentioned transition center. So what is it? Is it a jail, behavioral center, transition center, or all 3?
I mean, I can comment on what the planning, there are different planning and design processes going on, correct? So you've been a part of some of the work that Bettina and her team has put out, and there's the planning and program report that has reflected a program that includes a jail and a community transition center.
And you're saying, again, you said the community decided we would love to have a transition center outside of the perimeter of the facility, which is, I think, the way you described it. That would mean in Halava, whether it's Halava Valley or Halava residential community.
In the Halava area. Okay, so let me get back to your first comment, which is a good one, about the behavioral care center. So one of the precedents that we shared out was a jail facility, so a 1,000-bed facility that had a very small behavioral care center that accepted only qualifying individuals. So typically those are, nonviolent or substance abuse type of offenses where the person through an evaluation and assessment process is deemed in need of a different type of treatment or services. And this is for a select and only qualified number of people. That is what we are proposing as a part of this jail facility. Because some of what we heard from the community is this interest in prevention and
as part of the jail facility within fenced perimeter or outside the fence, like for right now, OCCC, which everyone can see every day, has a fence, a really tall fence. Are you talking inside or outside?
We are talking about a secure behavioral care center.
In or outside the fence line?
It would be within DCR's secured area. Whether it's a fence or a secured building that doesn't need a fence is not the point.
I'm just asking because the community and people may live in this area.
Secure. It's secured.
So
building, you can only secure a building so much.
Okay. So what about this transition center? Is that like a halfway house?
So that is a model that's fairly common across different correctional facility types that provides transitional services. Some people have heard of it as a furlough facilities. This is part of what DCR also operates, where individuals who are starting to transition out of the carceral system are put into a sort of different program and different housing types that allows them to have more access to, one, be able to participate in jobs outside of the facility and to receive services that help their transition. And I would invite here, somebody to fill in for me. Bettina, I don't know if you want to comment on the community transition center that has been a part of your work.
I think what we're going to need is probably more detail about that particular aspect, because I think that's where Russell's going with this, right? The behavioral sounds like it's going to be incorporated within the secure confines of the facility itself, right? It's going to probably be like a facility where the prisoners can go and get counseling and therapeutic, services. It's the other transition is going to be outside the wire, right? Because it's going to be a location where previous inmates are going to have to live and sleep and utilize that area to go to jobs and receive vocational training or whatnot. So I think we're going to probably need a little bit more in-depth briefing about that particular aspect of what you just briefed. Am I correct in this, Russell? Am I saying
I mean,
it?
well, that's a concern, yes. I mean, obviously, if the behavior center is within the fence line, then maybe it's not as bad. But I'm just saying that putting it outside the fence line, out into the community, I'm surprised and shocked to hear that. I don't know. Isn't that something that should be put up?
Well, I don't think they're doing that with the behavioral health one. It's the transition one that will be sitting outside the fence line.
Yeah, and I want to put out, Russell, that what we're sharing with you tonight are some of these initial recommendations that we've been hearing in a lot of our conversations. We're going to continue to workshop this, incorporate exactly the feedback that you're providing into clarifying and further developing exactly what these recommendations will be at the end. But I also wanted to, I saw Wayne and Warden Shell kind of put their hands up, and I want to let them directly from DCR to respond to some of your comments.
And DCR, just refresh my recollection, who is DCR?
Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So they're the agency
They're
managing and operating.
formerly public
PSD.
safety.
Yes.
I'm gonna express something that maybe it's just me, but I just get the sense that I as a community right now, we shoulder a lot. We shouldered a lot of the support services for Oahu. To include the prison. Okay, now we're talking OCCC. We're talking about 3,500 to 4,000 units on the stadium property. At some point, some of the other communities got to step it up and accept some responsibility for the social fabric of this island. And it can't just be shouldered all on Aiea. Okay, so as you guys continue to do this, like with OCCC, this is the first that we heard about a halfway house or a rehabilitation center being incorporated into the OCCC plan. So at some point it's going to give, and then we're going to have some problems. I'm sure of it. So just understand that you're asking for your aspect of this. You might not think it's like, okay, well, it's just one aspect of this OCCC plan, but looking into the larger context of what this community is supporting and sharing and doing, you're asking a lot, and you're starting to push the boundaries of what is acceptable to this community.
Chairwood,
Go ahead.
may I make a comment? I'm from the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I'm a planner with them. I could address that very quickly, and we could go into detail in later sessions. First of all, the Community Transitional Center is basically a furlough house, if you would, similar to La Maca. So, it has a level of security, but lower. All the dangerous folks that you guys are talking about will be very securely housed in an area that's very, very safe to be designed. In the future, there's different options of installing security, and that's going to be left to the security consultants and architects that we have. So the transitional center is a concept that the department is trying to develop, where there's going to be a wraparound service provided at that location, so that the inmates transitioning out doesn't have to go looking around all over the island for services that they may need. And so the idea is to co-locate all of these, whether it be nonprofits or state agencies, in one location at that place, so that they have access. also allowing for families to get together with them, and various features in there, as well as possibly being acting and doubling as a you know a civil refuge in case of emergencies. We're trying to think of innovative ways to make that center more community connected. And so that's the transitional center. And right now we're in the process of having the university, UHCDC, help us to reach out to the public and get ideas for a continuum of care that we can fold into our processes and our facilities. And we're looking for a good fit there. And we're looking for community input. And the university has been doing a very good job getting us that input. And so a lot of this is evolving, and we're going to use this to inform our designers of the jail. Earlier on, we had been criticized for not getting the public input, and we're making our best effort to do so.
Is there a reason why the rehabilitation center can't be located in another community somewhere else? Because where that rehabilitation center is going to be located at is on the back end of Halava. They're going to have to, it's not anywhere close to.
Yeah, right. Yes. So we have currently the existing Laumaka Furlough Work Center. It's right across from the existing OCCC. So we have plans to redevelop that so that can be a primary furlough center, if you will. That is located right on the transit line, but we have a larger population right now, and we need the space for it. So there's going to be step downs that go into this transitional center to acclimate our incarcerants with the process of transitioning out, eventually to go to the Laumaka Furlough House. So there's going to be a lot of different facilities or concepts being discussed going forward, even to the point where there's some discussion of community, taking some of the responsibilities for transitioning. This is still in discussion yet. The ideas are coming out there, and we're working with various nonprofits and volunteers for that type. But we'll never put the public in danger. Those folks that need to be kept safely away will be.
Oh yeah, I get it. I get it. I think my argument, though, and I think what Russell's trying to argue too, is that Aiea as a community has shouldered a significant portion of this responsibility. And I think that some of that responsibility needs to be shouldered on some of the other communities that are out there. Kalihi sounds like they're going to shoulder some of that responsibility. I don't understand why Manoa doesn't. I don't understand why Kapolei doesn't. I don't understand why Halava doesn't. I'm sorry, Haleiwa doesn't. So why are these communities not being asked to shoulder some of this responsibility? Why is it being asked of us when we're already doing our fair share of supporting the social fabric of Oahu by 4,500 units of housing? Manoa complains about senior housing being built in their community and nothing happens, right? We're going to support, I'm thinking what, 200-300 units I think they're talking about. We're going to have 45, so 4,000 to 4,500 units, so it's a drop in the bucket compared to what we're going to shoulder. And now we got OCCC coming in, right? You've had barely any kind of resistance to that. And that has a lot to do with this board. But now you're asking to do something else on top of that. And now you're asking this community to shoulder another thing, when I think that the other community should be picking up some of that load and sharing the wealth.
I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah, totally. And so the two actually are one jail. It's not, so that's what they built, a jail.
Yeah, I know. But the halfway house is not a jail, right? So that could be located, I would say, probably preferably close to businesses that would hire individuals that would be in those locations, so that they wouldn't have to drive. Because right now they would have to literally drive or be bused from that location to their place of work.
Yeah, so, to answer some of the programming questions that you may have and the processes, I was going to introduce you to our OCCC project champion for the department tonight. He's with us right now. If I may, I can go ahead. We're jumping ahead of this right now, but if you like, he may be able to address some of the questions.
Okay, if we're jumping ahead, I think we can hold off. Let's finish up with this one here. So, any questions for the UH folks? Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, a comment. You talked about your goal being to reduce incarceration, which is nice, but our community would prefer that you reduce crime. And of course, if you reduce crime, you reduce incarceration. And all of your noble goals of rehabilitation, you have to remember that every failure that you have in rehabilitation is not a minor crime to the person who gets robbed, the person whose house gets broken into, and their personal family heirlooms get taken, which is as minor for people to go and sell and then buy drugs, but means a lot to the person whose mother's jewelry was taken away, just even trinkets. So it's nice to say, well, we're going to do all these rehabilitation processes, but you need to be aware that every failure leads to trauma in our community.
Yep, absolutely. No, thank you for your comment. And, following some of our last conversations, we also did take time to sit down and speak with a number of the victims' organizations. So I'm sorry if what we're saying is miscommunicating, that we are not dedicated to the kind of root issues and community safety and well-being. That's definitely what we are working towards.
Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns for UH before we move on to the OCCC?
Chair, we have Lawrence online and also a community member, Joanne.
Okay, Lawrence, let's go first and then let's move to the community member.
Okay, I'll make it short. What state are you modeling your whole concept around? Because a lot of your concepts has been tried in Oregon, it was a failure. It's been tried in California, it's a failure. So what state are you modeling it around? You don't have to answer today, but just in the future when you come to these board meetings. The second question is, I've seen a report that it costs roughly $300 a day to house an inmate in prison or jail versus roughly $100 if we send them away. So by what you're wanting to do, that may increase to $400 or $500 a day because you'd have to hire additional personnel. That you can answer when you come back on the next neighborhood board meetings. And the third is, as far as people being incarcerated or arrested, I sat in a webinar that was about recidivism, and 75 to 80% of the people who are arrested, incarcerated, have drug issues. Along with drug issues become mental issues. As far as addressing the root cause of all these drugs causing people to go crazy, I'm not sure even if it's being addressed at all. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for your comments, and we'll come back with more to that. But that, a lot of these suggestions from the people that we talk to deal exactly with that, the substance abuse and mental health needs. So behavioral care is a way of treating substance abuse, addiction, and sort of, various conditions that we see in this correctional population. As far as I do want to hit on the sort of what state are we modeling this after? We're not modeling it after any other state. This is all coming out of our engagement, our conversations with people, with your community, with all of the other people that Caroline mentioned that we've been talking to over this past year. So it's by no means modeled after any other state or any other system, but we're learning and researching other models because that was part of what we were tasked with in this project.
So the renaming you guys didn't get from California and Governor Newsom?
No, it came out of conversations about people wanting
Because
things to
that's
be
who you
done
showed
differently.
on the picture, right?
Yeah, that was to provide context, right? What we were talking about. It's not turning a jail into a library. It's about repositioning in the same way that, you know, public safety, PSD became DCR. It was along those lines.
Okay.
Just,
Right.
just
hurry
to
up,
follow
please.
up,
Okay.
was they were on this webinar, they really liked the concept of calling a jail a campus. And what they did was, as far as caregivers or providers, the ratio of caregivers to providers was like 1 to 5. So they hired that many caregivers so they could give individual attention. But all that comes at a cost. I think it was through the UH system that I was invited to the webinar. But it's just something to keep in mind that a lot of these things that you're talking about has been tried and it didn't work out very well. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, Lawrence.
thank
Okay,
you.
community member, I want to get their input and then we're going to move on to OCCC. So.
They put their hand down here. I don't know if they want to ask anything anymore.
Okay, great. Okay, OCCC, go ahead. And can we try and cut it to like maybe 5 minutes? We're already way over time.
Yes, that definitely went over time. I will do my best to keep this short. Evening, Chair Wood, sorry that you're not feeling well. Members of the board and members of the community, I am Bettina Maynard from AHL. I am the lead of the OCCC design team. I am sharing my screen. Oh my goodness, it doesn't want me. Oh, you really changed everything here. Well, this is not working. This is weird. Is this working? Can you see this?
We can see it. Please continue.
Oh, perfect. I would, before we jump into this here, I would like to express how grateful our team is for having had the opportunity for the last 6 years to present to you at every single one of your meetings. We don't take this lightly. We understand there is responsibility and opportunity, and we are grateful for the dialogue that you allow us to have. So it is with particularly great pleasure that I am here tonight to say that our OCCC project team has been awarded the third phase of the planning and the design for the new facility. In now 10 seconds or less, here is what the last 2 phases were about. Phase 1, we completed the site selection, the environmental studies, the population forecast, and we master planned the selected site of the animal quarantine station in Hawaii, in Halawa. Phase 2, we worked on land entitlements. We updated the population forecast. We did site engineering, programming, planning, and we had the release of an RFI. We are in phase 3 now. You will continue to see the same commitment to open communication and dialogue. And being invited to this group, as I said earlier, means a lot, as together we're impacting one of the most important projects for the state. What you see here on this slide are several activities that we will focus on in this new phase. And as we move forward, we look forward to the dialogue. I'm going to skip over this, and we'll come back to this at a future meeting because of time constraints. I would like to give you a very basic, high-level schedule. Given tonight's restraints, you might only want to focus on 2 big dates. one of the key dates is the issuance of the RFP, which is the request for proposal, which is scheduled for next year, 2025, with the award of the project anticipated in mid-2026. And the project will see all of us at the ribbon cutting in 2031. But the most excited I am is about the evolution of our team. We are moving from the planning phase to the design phase. The key planners, the members of our team are on the left side. And over the last 6 years, you've got to know all of us fairly well. We are welcoming new faces to our group. I'm going to go just down in no particular order from the top. Liz Lee is the project manager on this project. Maybe she wants to say hi. So you can all put a face to the name.
Can you hear me? Yep.
Yes, we can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay, I'm just really glad to be here. This is my first IA meetup. I've heard a lot about the engagement we've had with this community and really excited to move forward with the project. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. From DAGS, as the project moves from the planning branch over to the project management branch, a new face is Sally Tamai, the project coordinator. I know Sally is on.
Hello, I'm Sally. I'm excited to work on this project. It's big, it's exciting.
Thank you, Sally. We have Daniel Jandok, the section head. Might not be on. Eric Nishimoto, the project management branch chief. I've seen your name, Eric. Would you mind to say hello?
Good evening, everybody. Looking forward to working with everybody. Sorry, losing my voice. Anyway, we'll hope to see you guys in person the next time or in some future meetings. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. And you're still at work. And then for this, Wayne continues to be part of the team. And the person that I am extremely excited about introducing is John Schell, who is the warden at OCCC. And as we're wrapping this up tonight, I'd like to ask John to introduce himself, tell a little bit about his ideology and philosophy to this group. John?
Well, hello, everybody. I'm John Schell, and I work at OCCC. I'm the warden there now. I've been there for about a year. Previous to that, I had corrections experience in the state of Oregon, starting in 1991. Have been through moving the Oregon system from a more punitive system to a more rehabilitative system, and have seen the things that have worked, and I've seen the things that haven't worked. And so I bring that experience here so that hopefully we can avoid some of the pitfalls that Oregon had. And, we can do it with the local flavor. So to give you an idea, I worked for the Oregon Department of Corrections for 21 years, retired out in a middle management position there, moved to Hawaii, decided that I wasn't done with corrections. So I went to Manoa, Manoa, and got my master's degree in public administration, and came back into the field to run the OCCC jail and to help plan this project. This is kind of my dream job. So that's basically what I'm about. One of the things that I've heard tonight, and I think is important to recognize, is that we are a jail. Security is still going to have to be one of it is the most important thing we do. Security is very important to keep the public safe, keep even the inmates safe, and keep the staff safe. How we go about that is where rehabilitation comes into play. One of the things that I would remind everybody to remember is that of the people who go to jail, 95% of them are going to be back out on the street. And if we don't do something to try to get them so that they do not go back out and continue a life of crime, we are going to continue to have people over and over and over coming back into our system. That's what recidivism is about. That's what drives that. So when we're talking about lowering the jail population, what that means to me as somebody who runs a jail is trying to get people convinced while they're on the inside not to come back the next time. And we can only do that through programming and through having a system in place where we role model good behavior, we redirect people when they need it, we reinforce the good qualities in them. We have to have drug and alcohol treatment. We've got to have mental health treatment. We need to have education and work programs. There's all kinds of things that are involved in rehabilitating somebody so that they have a shot when they get out, if they so desire, not to come back to jail. Because as I think it was Russell pointed out, it costs a lot of money every day that one of these guys sits in the jail. So if we can get them so that they don't reoffend and commit more crime, and they stay out, that's a success. Yes, every time we have one that fails, it costs money and it's a damage to the community. But what you have to remember is 95% of these guys are going to get back out. I would just as soon as few of them fail as we possibly can. So that's just kind of my passion, just to let you guys know. I'm looking so forward to working on this project, and I thank the board for the time.
Thank you. Mr. Schnell, I want to ask you a question. Is it worthwhile to have a rehabilitation center sit next to the jail and the prison?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I see your point about it being outside of the fence and outside of the wire, but let me tell you about OCCC and where we're at right now. We have a module, it's called Module 20. We have about 100 people in there that are already on furlough status, which is what rehabilitation center looks like. It's inside the wire, but they go out each day. Mm-hmm. They go into the community, they work a job, and then they have to check back in by a certain time. What you have to remember about what we're doing at OCCC is we are the people who first come in, and those are not the ones that are going to be in the transition center. And then we have the people who've already done their time and they're on the ragged edge of getting out of jail. And rather than have a hard cutoff where, when we tend to lose people in corrections where they tend to go back out and continue to do crimes are at transition points. For example, I move them from the jail to a prison. If I do a soft hand off that kind of bridge, they're going to get to prison and they're going to be a problem. Prison does the same thing. If they just release them straight to the street without having a transitional program, the chances of failure are much higher. Data-driven shows this in studies all over the United States, that without having a soft handoff to get them recommitted into the community, that they have a higher chance of going back to their old ways and failing. So what I'm envisioning with this, and keep in mind, we're still in this design plan, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people weigh in, is something like what we already have with our Module 20, which is a large module we have. They'll be separate from our pretrial felons and our misdemeanants because we separate that housing. They'll be in their own location, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be under supervision. Does that clear it up for you?
I think the question I'm asking is it better to have people who are transitioning located within the jail so that they're, I guess, every night they're reminded that they could go back into it if they screw up? Or is it better to have them located somewhere else where they're not reminded of the facility that they just came or trying to transition out of? You said,
and I would say, yeah, and this is, keep in mind, this is strictly me talking. It is not, I'm not representing the department on this,
right.
But I would say you kind of need to have both. You have to have a step down process. And that means that we're going to have some where they're right there where it reminds them, looking out the door, that if they screw up, they're going to be back behind in the jail. But then as they move through the process, we need to have a way for them to earn their way into society, because they're going to get into society regardless. Right. That's just how our justice system is set up.
Right.
So I think the answer, and it sounds like I'm waffling on it, but really the answer is kind of both, because it's going to depend on the individual. And this is why screening is so important for who goes into these programs, because some people are ready to make that transition and others are not. And you have to, in order to do it correctly, you have to screen your individuals and see who's ready to make those leaps. And if you see signs that they're not making the correct decisions when they're out there in less restrictive housing unit, you need to move them into more restrictive housing.
Okay.
So you have to have that ability to do that. It's
Right.
not like one size fits all. I guess is the only way I can answer that.
Okay. No, I think that makes sense in a way, actually, that it's not I guess, one solution fits all situation, right? So I get it. Bettina, I have a question for you before I stop asking questions. Has there been any funding from the legislator on this?
Any finding, did you say?
Has the legislator given you guys any funding to move forward on this?
Oh, funding. No. Well,
okay. That's
yes
what I
and
thought.
no.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, no. There is the funding for phase 3. This phase that we just started. That was that is available.
Bettina, I'll help you out.
But that timeline,
there was $10 million
that you presented, that is not a real timeline, really, because you don't have any funding. You cannot issue an RFP if you don't have money available to actually be able to give to contractors that submit their proposals towards it, right?
I don't want to talk over Chris.
Oh, no,
okay,
I was just
Chris,
going to say, we did just get $10 million to move the design forward, to move the RFQ forward, and to start preparing for work. But yes, the DCR is going to have to go next year to get funding for the actual construction to go out for design and award.
Okay, so that timeline is basically a pipe dream at this moment, honestly. Right?
It includes the timeline for asking for funding. We have to project forward, but that's why you're seeing construction starting in, I think it was 2029. Right. But we do have to still finish the design. Yes. So we do have to do the design. We have to get approvals and funding.
Even when the stadium had funding, Chris, even when the stadium had funding, how long did it take to get the RFPs out there, right? So
our RFPs went out fast. They just kept getting canceled.
I know they did, but that's what I'm trying to say. You guys don't need, this project doesn't have any funding yet. So let alone it's just all, it's all smoke right now, honestly. There's nothing solidified until there is actual funding to back it up. So, okay, got it.
It's still a lot of hard work. Yep.
I know it is. And I'm not trying to discount that. But what I am trying to say is that let's not make promises. Let's not give timelines.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We have to build timelines because we have to work the schedule and get funding. Yes. And I know you understand that, Steve, but yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Board members, any questions before we move to community? I see you, Claire. So, but I want to talk to the board first. Okay.
Question.
So
quick question.
Go ahead.
Since we're in the planning stages, I assume an EIS was done. Was the transition housing identified clearly in the EIS to be outside the perimeter of the fence so that the public could have had an opportunity to comment on that?
There is no transition housing outside of the fence. It is always in.
Okay. So it's not in the EIS. So why are
it's
we
in the EIS? It's in the EIS. I will put a link to the new DCR website into the chat where the documents that we have completed over the last years, you can use them as you can reference them there, and the EIS is one of those documents. And yes, both.
But you said the transition center is not identified clearly in the EIS as being outside the fence line in the community.
Oh no, I may have misunderstood your question. The EIS is for the entirety of OCCC, and there is the community.
Understood. But Did it identify building a transition center outside the perimeter of the jail and prison, meaning outside the fence line into the community? Was that clearly identified in the EIS as an alternative?
That's not how it was designed,
Okay,
Russell.
thank you, thank you. It's not in the EIS then.
No, I think I'm not answering this right. It is in the EIS. Let me send you the link.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any other questions? Because I see that Warden has his hand up and I want to get to him real quick. Before I move on to you, Claire, you might as well just take a seat real quick. Sorry. Okay. Warden, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to answer Russell's question by explaining to you, Russell, the UH folks are stakeholders in this process. They are going to make recommendations for what they see as what they want and what their stakeholders, what they've gathered. That does not mean that that is exactly how we're going to build it. They are making recommendations, and it's recommendations only. So we will weigh their recommendations based on the data, but also we will look into it with safety and security in mind. Does that help you understand? What they're telling you in this, and Kathy's doing a great job in her stuff of looking at what they think should happen, but we have not made that decision to keep it outside the wire at this point.
Okay,
and I
but
hear what you guys are saying, and I'm hearing that the community, at least in this meeting and in this forum, is resistant to that. Correct?
I don't think we're necessarily resistant to the fact that there needs to be one. We're just resistant to the fact that it needs to be an Aiea. I think another community needs to shoulder this responsibility. We've done our part, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. And that's
my
certainly
point about
something.
the EIS was really, if it's not identified clearly as an alternative in the EIS, that may not be an option without redoing the EIS.
Yes.
If that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Claire, go ahead.
Okay, so I need a clarification, Latina. So we're talking CCC as opposed to jail. I mean, opposed to the prison. So the people, correct me if I'm wrong, the people that are scheduled to be in CCC are people that are supposed to be housed for less than a year left in their jail term or waiting bail hearing, right? And they're supposed to be high-risk prisoners. And these are just 1 year, supposedly, right? The people that are awaiting, so we're talking about reforming bail, that kind of thing. Are we talking eventually that we're going to take prisoners that are in the prison who have less than a year jail time left and moving them into the OCCC? Is that one of the first steps of the transition? Or is it only the people that, start off and maybe, low risk prisoners, 1 year left in, they have only a year in their term, in their jail sentence, or they're waiting for bail hearing?
And I think I need Warden Shell's help here on the percentages, but the short answer to your question, Claire, would be both of those, and also pre-sentence. So those that haven't been sentenced are in jail. Those that have been sentenced to less than, let's say, a year are in there, and those that have served their sentence at the jail and are within a year of their release. That is my understanding. John, do you want to add to that?
Basically we have different, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, Bettina, because I'm at home tonight and not in my office where I can pull them up. So I can't tell you the percentages, but I can tell you that we have a significant portion of our population is people who are considered pre-trial. And these are people who haven't even been convicted of a crime yet. Then we have a very small population that is sentenced misdemeanors. Because I'm going to tell you what we do. when somebody's sentenced for a felony, like I think Russell was talking earlier about what do we do with the rapists and murderers? Do we have some that are accused rapists and murderers? Absolutely, but they'll never be in the transition program. They're in the main jail portion, and that's where they will stay until they go to court, are convicted and sentenced. As soon as they are sentenced, they will then be transferred into the prison system, which is not what OCCC is. And that right now is Halava, or we have people on the mainland in Saguaro, which is a correctional facility that we rent beds in I want to say Arizona. I'm sure it's Arizona. That's the bulk of it. Now, when people get to the end of their sentence, they come back to Oahu. They go to the work farm up at Waiava, or they come into our system and go into work furlough. Ours is the last step before they get out the door. And they have to have completed all of this programming all along, whether they're at Saguaro or they're at Halava. That's how they work through the system. Does that kind of answer the question for you?
We're getting so excited about, I think when we had these community meetings, the university had these community meetings, there wasn't a very clear distinction made. If it's a community meeting on input for OCCC, we spend all this time talking about formal programs and programs that we want to have them to transition out. That's not really necessarily the population we're dealing with in the jail. I mean, there has to be, we can't treat this as the community, you cannot take the community's input, what we'd like to see in the prison system, and say that that's what we want for OCCC. The jail population is a totally different population.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but one of the things that I would like to point out is that if we are going to have a system that is a unified system, what jails need to be looking at is how we can triage people when they come in and find out what things they would have to work on in order not to come back to jail or come back to prison, have short-term, almost like urgent care for criminal behavior, I guess would be the only way I could really put it. We have to have programs that are designed to get to people quickly, to get any bang for our buck, so to speak, to see if we can get those people turned around. And that means that, yes, we can't have all of the same programs that they have maybe at Halava or at Saguaro, because we don't have the people there for the length of time. We have them, a lot of times we have a 30 to 60 day turnaround, and sometimes it's days. Sometimes it's they're in for 2 or 3 days and they're out again. But we have to take advantage of the time we have to hopefully address at least getting them to services and resources that can help them with whatever it is that's causing them to be to reoffend. Is kind of how I see that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Okay, any other questions from board members or from the community on the OCCC? Healthy, lively discussion tonight in regards to this, I see. So, okay. All right, nothing.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, nothing heard. Thank you guys for your report. Thank you for introducing yourself, Warden Shell. That was you've been more than helpful in clearing up some things that we had questions on. So thank you all for your support and help on this matter. Okay, let's move on. So the next item on the list is discussion motion to approve the Hawaiian Cement height variance permit. Myself, May, and a few other board members took a tour of this facility. I think other board members, I'm trying to remember, I'm just losing my mind here. But based on what we saw, and they gave us a good tour, I think it was what, May, a couple hours, I think we were out there. Yeah. So I'm okay with somebody making a motion. I don't think I can myself, honestly. Maybe I could, I don't know. But somebody making a motion to go ahead and approve their waiver that they're asking for the height variance. All the equipment that is located in that facility is sitting in either in a recess or up against the side of the mountain. So it's not impacting or obstructing views or other community members. We did look at like their dust suppression systems, their air quality suppression. or air quality measures and things like that. I was pretty shocked actually by some of the measures that they actually do. So go ahead. Somebody was going to say something.
So moved. So moved.
Okay. Hey, one other thing I do want to point out that was really interesting to me. How many times did they say that they blow up the side of the mountain over there, May? Twice a day?
Well, they were doing it there, but I didn't hear that part, but I saw all the little pieces of big rocks and that was impressive. But
Yeah, so they're basically setting off a detonation twice a day. They're setting off a detonation up there of dynamite, and it basically blows away a lot of rubble, right? And then they go in and they clear up the rubble and they crush the rocks and they make it into like for the asphalt for the streets or cement or whatever it is. I have yet to ever hear it, and I think that's pretty amazing, honestly, when they're actually blowing up a side of a mountain twice a day and you don't hear it. So it's pretty impressive.
Second. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so okay, we got a second.
How high is the variance? How high? How many feet?
Some of the structures are fairly large over the variance. They're 30, 40 feet, I think, above the variance level. But those structures are usually either sitting in a recessed area, like in a big giant bowl that has been like created. So like you might only see the top 20 feet of it, or it's up against the side of a mountain, right? That has nobody behind it, right? It's just land back there. So you really don't notice any of it.
So it's not affecting the stability of the mountain.
No. So the way they showed us, and we asked a lot of questions, and is basically they got two portions of the ridge line that they're eating into, and it's taken them like 60 years just to get to where they are today on that one portion. They still have that other portion that they're looking at, so that they have that they could go into later on. So
thank you.
The only concern I had about the facility, in which they didn't address, but I did ask the question, they didn't address it all that well, was the catchment system. Like, so they use a lot of water on that property to do dust suppression mostly. Okay, but there's also a lot of water in the transport of rock. They water it down, so when it goes, they basically have these like long conveyor belts that go along the property line, and then they feed these big giant piles, right? They water all that so that it keeps the dust down. Okay, but that water runoff is like waste, honestly. And they have these like catchment ponds, and so I asked them. I said, where are those? They showed us where those catchment ponds are at, but they kind of didn't, in a way, like they kind of glossed it over a little bit. So I think that probably deserves a little bit more investigation, honestly, because I don't want to see one of those catchment ponds break and goes right into the lava stream, because that's literally what would happen. But based on the location where it's at, it seems to be about, I would probably say, at least over a football field away from the stream, probably more than that, 2-3 football fields actually. So it's pretty far away from it, but it's still a hazard, right? But yeah, overall, in terms of the actual them asking for this waiver, that didn't seem to be an issue. So, okay, Lawrence, you got a question?
Did you notice if they had
discussion moment, by the way, just to let you know, it's already been seconded, so we're in discussion period at the moment. So go ahead, Lawrence.
There was any meters that measured air velocity and air direction?
Yeah, no, I didn't. They didn't point those out to us, and I didn't see any. But they did say that the city comes out once a year and does like tests and looks at the situation on the ground down there and does their air quality and ground quality tests.
Okay, so they don't really if the wind velocity is say 40 miles per hour, they wouldn't stop what they're doing because of dust. They would just continue because they don't have any procedure protocol for that.
I don't know the answer to that. I didn't ask that question. But what I do know is that they water down everything, like including the rock that goes on the conveyor belts. That's all being watered to keep the dust down. And then they showed us like the storage tanks for all the water that they actually use.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, any more discussion on this before?
Jen.
Go ahead. Does somebody want to say something?
Common question.
Folks are suggesting we move to a vote.
Okay, great. All right, let's go ahead and move to a vote. Logan, you want to?
Talk.
I think we're done talking about this.
You want a roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay, the current motion is for the Aiea Neighborhood Board number 20 to approve the Hawaiian cement height variance waiver permit.
Yeah.
Anderson,
Approve.
Arcaki.
She said.
Okay, I'll just come back to Tracy. Clark. Burgess. Espiritu.
Yes.
Fitch.
Yes.
Glenn.
Aye.
Higa.
Can I abstain?
Yes.
Thank you.
Imamura Udu.
Aye.
Mizusawa.
Aye.
Sugimura.
Aye.
Suji.
Yes.
Whitfield.
I'm gonna abstain. I missed the presentation.
Arcaki. Thank you. Yeah, put in the chat that you voted yes. Wood.
Yes.
Motion is adopted, Chair, with 12 ayes, no nos, and 2 abstentions.
Okay, thank you. All right. Can we move on, or do I need to reiterate that again?
Move on.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's move on. Discussion of monster homes within Aiea. We request a DPP to attend. Tracy, this is there anything you want to talk to about this before we? Tracy can't unmute, he says. Okay.
Okay, I have a question. Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
I have a comment because a lot of the things that we call monster homes do not meet the definition of monster homes because there's a lot going around in my community, Aiea Heights. It has to do with the floor area ratio, which in the Aiea Heights is usually 0.7. So what that means is if you have a 10,000 square feet lot, you can build a house that is 7,000 square feet on it. Okay, that's the ratio, the floor area ratio. So what looks like a monster house on a lot, there's some lots on going up Camilo that are 10 to 12,000. So they're building houses that are 7,000 square feet, which are not monster houses, even though they look gigantic. They have to have like 5, 6 off-street parking spaces, but they don't meet the definition of a monster home. They can have 8 bathrooms in it. So yeah, for most of us, we think, oh, a 10-bedroom, 8-bath house with 5 parking places, that's got to be a monster home, but it's not. So maybe former council member back then, Elefante can help us out with that. But I think that unless we have zoning law changes, there's really not much we can do for a house that can be 7,000 square feet.
Okay. Any other comments, questions in regards to this? Okay, so one of the things that I think we should probably take a look at when it comes to these for the future is if we have particular properties that need to be looked at or addressed, right? So I just don't want to lay blanket and then have DPP come in and just, well, we got this big old issue, right? And they'll be like, okay, give us an example, right? And we don't have it, right? So I think going forward, if we're going to add this to the agenda, we need to have specific examples of property that would meet that definition of a monster home. Clearly, as Paul pointed out, that has to be a pretty significant size place because 7,000 square feet would probably not constitute a monster home unless the permit laws changed, right? Okay. Right,
Share
Tracy,
out.
I'm sorry that you cannot get your mic unmuted.
You did put the out of home in the chat, Sharon.
Yeah, okay. All right. Do we have the address for that, Logan? I forgot.
I never saw an address, no, I'm not familiar. And do we know the square footage of the lot and then the proposed building?
Right. Have we done enough research to where we could determine that?
I would just add, Chairwood, this is Logan, I would just add, with the monster home issue, it's all over the island, and it's community policing is what it's the biggest combatant to that. You guys need to, tell your neighbors, and you guys need to, report issues as they come up, give specific details.
Okay. Okay. So, hey, Tracy, how about you and I, on maybe in the next week or two, we take a little cruise over to that particular place, and let's see what we can come up with. Okay. Since we cannot okay, good. Okay, let's do that. So reach out to me, you know how to do that, and we'll set up a time to go do it. And let's go talk to the community around that property and see if they have any issues with it. Okay, moving on. So we have a board member who has been absent for three meetings, but she is here today. So I just want to let the board know that we could either, we don't need to take any action on this. And for me personally, I would recommend that we don't. I think Ms. Anderson has been a valued member of this board since she's joined, and she is currently handling a family matter. And so that's the reason behind her absence. It's not that she doesn't want to be here. It's just that, we all have family, and sometimes there's emergencies, and those emergencies got to be taken care of. I know that you guys made exceptions for me when I went to Kuwait, and I hit my 3 absences while I was doing my duty down there for the U.S. government. And I would hope that we would go ahead and express the same leniency to Ms. Anderson for her situation as well. So does anybody have any comments or objections or anything else that they want to talk about? Please bring it up now, or we will just move on. Okay, nothing heard. Okay, thank you. All right.
you.
So approval of the regular minutes for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. Is there any corrections or updates that people want to make to those minutes?
One correction.
Okay, please go ahead, Ron.
The first page on the recess, it looks like we had it. It says that they had a recess started at 7:06 and came back to order at 9:10. It was actually it was at 7:10 that they came back.
Okay, Logan, you got that?
Yep, Ron showed me the typo earlier, so I have a note for it. But
okay.
Now you guys adopt them with that amendment.
Okay. All right. Any other corrections, comments in regards to the meeting minutes? Okay.
Move to adopt with correction.
Okay. Anybody want to second that motion?
Okay.
All right. All right. Any objections to approving the regular meeting minutes for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 with the correction? Okay, no objections heard. Minutes are passed. Are we good, Logan?
Yeah, great.
Okay, great. All right, moving on to resident and community concerns. Any residents and community concerns out there that we need to be aware
of? Yeah, we have one person here, Chairwood.
Oh, yes, please go ahead, sir. You were there when I was setting up earlier, so go ahead.
My name is Wayne Suzuki with the Community Association, and I'd like to have 2 shares with you. One being, these are good proactive stuff that I wish the board would attend. This one is our neighborhood security watch programs. We're trying to network all the neighborhood security watch in Aiea. This is open to our community. Please come, especially the board members, because we're actively trying to become a resilient, watchful, and careful neighborhood, caring neighborhood. So Albert Scott School next week, Tuesday at 6:30. So I know you guys can make it because Brandon's going to be here, Sam Cohen, and guess who's our special guest? Steve O, because his people was at our backyard meeting of about 50 people. And by the way, this is hosted by Enchanted Hill residents. We have a good 200 people in our group, and some of them are married. But basically, it was all started at just homeowners, and I think we're keeping it that way for now. But we're encouraging more neighborhood security watches to assist police. But when Steve Press Guy, I guess, was there, he and the police agree that our judiciary system is broken. Can you believe it? That's why he's coming down the sky. He's going to explain more about our broken system. And you know, he's from way back when too, and nothing's changed. Maybe it got worse. But yeah, it's a revolving door, and we don't want that. So we want to network with everybody. And you're invited to Pro Ridge, Mr. Cianelli, please come, because Pro Ridge is a problem for our neighborhood, and it shouldn't be. And I think you're doing a fabulous job with incorporating our neighborhood in a lot of activities. So along with that, the other announcement is please be involved or be assured that something's happening in Makalapa Park. That's the one adjacent to Puruaimomi, so-called Halava Housing, Puruaimomi, Section 8. Okay, now, Halava Housing, bad reputation and all, but you have to understand, they can't get internet. Wouldn't you be upset? So they can't get their own internet because the wiring and everything. Now, the park we're trying to rejuvenate is not just to go play in the park and be nice. It's to build, again, community and neighborhood. We're going to do this through tree planting, see if they take care. If the neighborhood comes out, that's fine. That's what we want. But how's about vegetable garden or some kind of community garden to start sharing in that park? And it's huge. I don't know how big, 5 acres. And of course, they should have baseball games and all that, which they don't have now. In fact, they had to level men's and women's bathroom. They got rid of it. It's next to the basketball court. They leveled it, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I don't know, Brandon, do you know? When they leveled the men's and women's bathroom in Makalapa Park before, long ago. Well, more than 5-6 years, okay, because I seen it before, but that was a good 10 years ago. So yeah, we had 2 meetings now. State people are involved, Rating Cordell's office, and even the federal agencies for forestation and everything. I think we have a good start, and we even got neighborhood people from Makalapa Housing, 2 young adults, and oh, by the way, the person that runs the PACT, she's from the housing, and she's from Aiea High School, and she's in charge of the PACT program. We got everything in place, and this is how you fix the problem, not the symptom. But I tell you, as far as the symptom goes, we have to fix. We have to respect the law, and people need to. If they have to be incarcerated, so be it. We have to stop gap because it's just, we have this one guy that's terrorizing Upper Aiea by Napunai Park. We called him Drummer Boy because he hits his 5-gallon Home Depot bucket all the time. Actually, he does play drums, but he's so whacked out, and he's been in and out the prison system in the last 3 years since we started this neighborhood watch up there. Well, this is coming up 3 years, but he's been our problem from the get-go. And now he hangs around here because my friend walks down and get his coffee from Starbucks and comes back. When he comes back, he sees him a lot of times, whether he's half naked, or I think you know what you're talking about because some people might be talking about him. And sad to say, his mom worked over 25 years at Heights Drive-In. And we know the family, so come on, neighborhood. We have a lot of love in Aiea. It is a healing community, by the way, thanks to our Aiea up there. So please come to be aware that we will be asking for more support from such as neighborhood board to help Makalapa neighborhood park where we have festivities and stuff there eventually. And definitely come next week, Tuesday to Alva Scott, 6:30. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions from the community? Okay.
Would it be appropriate for a board member to ask?
Absolutely, you're a community member, right? And board member, or, you know, so.
I wanted to ask if, I'm not sure who to ask, but I wanted to ask if we as a board and a community could be briefed on that bill that passed that was kind of controversial, SB Senate Bill 3202, that allowed for multiple dwellings to be built within a current single family residence. I'm not sure who we could offer, but I know Chair Waters had a lot to say about that bill, and he wasn't certainly was not supportive. But maybe something that maybe we can be briefed on, ask questions of someone who is knowledgeable, and maybe this board can decide whether it wants to take a position or not. Because other boards in the state have taken positions, or especially on Oahu, have taken positions on that bill in a negative way.
I think it's already died in the.
No, I think it passed.
Oh, it did pass. Okay. I see Elefante shaking his head. So, hey, Brandon or Senator Elefante, would you be able to talk about that when your turn is up, possibly? Okay. Okay, good. Okay. All right. Any other things from the community? Because I want to kind of get into elected officials. We got 30 minutes, 34 minutes. Okay. Governor Green's office. She was on earlier. I don't know if she's having volume issues or she left.
Hello, can you?
Oh, okay, there you are. Okay, great. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. All right. This is Janelle Sanisi, representing the governor's office. The governor's still, really focused on providing housing for Maui wildfire victims. I know that I think it was board member Higa asked for a spreadsheet on the expenditures for the wildfire, but I didn't get that yet. But if I do get it between now and the next meeting, I will send it to you. That's about. But I just because I work for the Department of Agriculture, I wanted to inform the community that the Department of Ag just opened 2 grant opportunities for the community to participate in controlling coconut rhinoceros beetle in their communities. So if anyone has questions, you have to be a nonprofit registered with the state to apply. The deadline to apply is June 7th, so it's kind of close. But one grant opening is for at least up to 8 communities, one of each $25,000 to do some mitigation work in their own communities, because it's coconut rhinoceros beetle is pretty much spread all over Oahu. So 8 communities will get $25,000 each to come up with programs that they want to see in their communities. The other one is $40,000 for each island county to control green waste, and this is from community nonprofits to help battle the coconut rhinoceros beetle. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can reach me at the Department of Ag. And that's it. And the board and community had questions about the water quality because of Red Hill. You may want to consider requesting that the Department of Health, Environmental Health Division come and brief you on the water quality and water issues concerning Red Hill. That's for a future meeting. That's it. I can take any questions if you have.
So yeah, so in the chat, one of our board members is asking if we could have a PUC representative attend. Would that be possible?
What representative?
Public Utilities Commission.
Oh, PUC. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and the topic?
Mr. Higa.
Okay, sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, Mr. Higa, go ahead.
Hi, I want to go over electrical rate increases and the PUC evaluation of what is fair for the community because precedence is being set in California. And what they're doing is they're charging everybody a base fee or base rate, and it's based upon their income status. But I'm wondering, I know Hawaii normally follows another state, but I just want to ask some questions of the PUC as far as the rate increases that we're going to see down the road because of the Maui wildfire conditions.
Have they
Okay,
said
I can put,
have they said that there's going to be rate increases?
I
Or
have
are you
not
There was
heard.
or are you
there
just
was something
assuming?
in the legislature that came out and it was squashed, but they wanted to do I forget what the term was because they wanted to have money so that they could borrow monies at a cheaper interest rate, but that didn't pass through community.
So this isn't something that is not going to happen. I think what I'm trying to get at, Lawrence, is I just don't want them chasing ghosts, right? So is this something that they're going to do, or is this something that they thought about and it's got squashed and it's dead?
Well, what happens with rate increases is Hawaii Electric has to propose something to the Public Utility Commission. The Public Utility Commission approves or denies it. So I just want to see what's going on there with Hawaii Electric and the Public Utility Commission.
Okay.
Okay,
Maybe, hey, Lawrence, how about you and I have we talk this out a little bit because I'm kind of confused at what you're asking for. I really don't understand.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
ma'am, please don't act on that just yet. Let us
okay,
work out where we can refine our question and see if we can get it to where when we ask them to come, they have an exact reason why we need them to come. So I don't want to waste anybody's time, honestly. So, okay.
okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions for the governor's office? Danny?
Yeah, I have a quick question about the CRB remediation grant for the 25,000. Is that one nonprofit per community that will receive the entire 25, or is it $25,000 pot given to a community that could
No,
be split among several
it's
organizations?
it's a $200,000 grant opportunity. So there's 20 up to 8 communities will get $25,000 each. So yeah, we're probably going to spread it around and then see what the proposals come in, what they're proposing to do. But it is community driven. So, but yeah, you can call me at the Department of Ag.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Another question.
All right, please go ahead. Claire?
So could you check with your library, state library system to see if we can put maybe security cameras? Because this big memorial rock that we have here, for some reason, some people after hours are chipping away at it.
Yeah, see the
And it's like really senseless work, I mean, senseless the shift that they're doing, but the rock is being chipped away at. And the library staff comes back and they're little rocks. So,
Okay. Is this particularly at the Aiea Public Library?
our memorial rock to our World War II veterans.
Okay, I can pose that to the library.
Next.
Okay. Any other questions, comments for the governor's office? Okay, nothing heard. I'm going to move on. U.S. Representative at Case's office.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Garcia here in person. I like to think I'm in two places.
Yeah, I
at
don't
once.
show up. You show up in person, man. I am so disappointed.
Thinking I online, actually went online because I want to post the Congressman Second Revenue in the chat for those who might want to avail themselves of that by going online and clicking on the link. Yeah? But I do have my
hard copy. I've passed it out also to the members of the budget tonight. I'll just go over it quickly. Yeah? It was referencing to what he's was able to do with the rest of his colleagues in the Congress to pass out finally the fiscal year 2024 appropriations measures. In that measure, what's referred to as community project funding projects requests. In the old days, used to be referred to as projects. We refer to them now as earmarks. But one particular interest to the community, Mr. Chairman, and this is the $1.4 million that Congressman was able to secure for a backup generator in case of emergencies, which will be placed at Palimoni Medical Center. Yeah? And this was actually strongly supported by the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency. They pushed for this project because, as you know, they deal with disasters. On the second page, we refer to is video projects that we do every month. On Olelo Channel 49, I think they premiere on the second or third Sunday of each month. The next Olelo video will feature Congressman Case in a tour of Waikiki businesses with State Representative Adrian Tam. So we talked to a number of small businesses, and we talked about the restoration of some of the beaches there alongside the Waikiki shoreline. Congressman also took part in a ceremony at the U.S. Capitol, I should say, that honored the late Congresswoman Patsy Mink in the quota that everybody has in their wallets that carries the likeness of the late Congresswoman. And the congressional art competition actually was held on May 3rd. And the winner of that competition that's held each year, we had the competition at the Bishop Museum. And there was a young woman who was a senior at Bonneville High School. Her art piece is going to be displayed at the U.S. Capitol for a year, starting, I think, this summer. Congressman also wanted to make sure that members of the community are aware of a couple of live online events that are coming up next month. On June 7th at 9 o'clock in the morning, you can watch this on his Facebook page live. There'll be a discussion as the Congressman speaks with somebody from the White House on the issue of artificial intelligence, which is top of the mind with a lot of people these days. And the White House expert is going to talk about what the Biden administration is doing with respect to dealing with artificial intelligence and some of the fears that people have regarding that. On June 10th, it's going to be his Teletown Talk Story live online, also on Facebook and on his website as well. On June 10th, that Teletown discussion will start at 6 o'clock in the evening and last until 7:30. And finally, Mr. Chairman, of interest to you, since you have brought this up in the past, the Senate a few days ago did pass the reauthorization bill. This is the bill every 5 years that Congress has to act on. The deadline to act on this particular measure is this Friday, I believe. But the House will now consider the measure. And in that reauthorization measure are items of particular interest, especially to people who live in this area. We would direct the FDA to participate in the state of Hawaii's Air Noise and Safety Task Force and recommend ways to reduce disruption that air tours can cause residents. We have these complaints all the time in the airport area, and especially out at Aiea as well. Yeah? It requires stronger safety requirements for commercial air tours and helicopter operations through increased FDA oversight, equipment upgrades, and flight data monitoring. It would ensure airport projects that would improve resilience to sea level rise and extreme weather are eligible for funding under the FAA's Airport Improvement Program. And finally, it would authorize the Department of Transportation's Office of Aviation Consumer Protection to be led by a Senate-confirmed Assistant Secretary and supported by $70 billion over 5 years. So again, these provisions were sought by Senator Schatz, who was supported by Congressman Case, by actually members of the Hawaii Congressional Delegation. And the House will act on this measure this week and hopefully get this bill passed. And of particular interest to Hawaii as well, those provisions I just cited. And Mr. Chairman, members of the board, open to any questions you might have.
Board members, any questions for Representative Case's office? Okay, nothing heard. Community members? Okay, nothing heard. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. And, tell the congressman thank you as well.
Okay.
Okay. Senator Wakai's office? Okay, nothing heard. Senator Alfonte?
I'll be right up there for you.
Just
Thank you.
no. He probably got it in the mail.
Not your sir.
Okay, I go here.
First step. Good evening, everyone. I know in the interest of time, we have to get out of here soon. But thank you, Chairman Wood, Vice Chairman, all members of the board and the community. I'm distributing my end of session end of session summer report. That's also been provided in the chat from Taylor from my staff and Logan. So thank you for putting that in the chat. This is something to give you highlights of what we accomplished for the district this past session. I want to turn your attention for those that have a physical copy or those reading online to the second page, which is the list of CIPs for the Aiea community, in particular Aiea Intermediate, and at the state park at the Aiea, which we were able to get $2 million secured for improvements to that area. I know it's utilized by all of us. So we're hoping that the governor can release those critical funds for those Aiea community schools. I also want to follow up on a few questions that were raised tonight and from last time. So we followed up with board member Higa regarding an assault against a law enforcement officer. We sent board member Higa information on that. And I think I verbally and Betty mentioned that at several meetings back. I provided some hard copies, Chair, to your Vice Chair and Logan on the section of HRS, which is HRS 707-712.5 and .6, which is first degree and second degrees. There are laws in the books if someone did assault a police officer. I also want to follow up also with board member Glenn. You asked about Monster Homes and board member Arataki on the Monster Home on Ali'i Poi. We did get some homeowners that did contact us, but I'll defer to the city on that. I know I've been at the city for many years, but I'm not sure in terms of what new laws they've adjusted. I know when I was there, we're looking at changing the FAR ratio, which you mentioned on .7, limiting the bathrooms, seeing what they could do with inspections afterwards if they changed up stuff. So I'm not sure what new laws that the city council has put in place, but as for that Ali'i Poi property, I know Councilmember Cordero represents that area. Her and her staff have followed up and been working with DPP on that. So I'll defer to her for the follow-up on that. And then there was a question from board member Suji about Senate Bill 3202, which has to do with adding additional dwelling units in addition to the dwelling unit you have on your home. So basically you'll be able to build up to 3 dwelling units as permitted by law. That's something that a lot of the neighborhood boards have commented on. The city council has weighed in and adopted a resolution. I voted no on final reading of that because of some of the concerns raised by from the board and community members. So that's just kind of that in a nutshell. And then for Claire, I'll follow up and work with Janelle from governor's office regarding Aiea Library for the War Memorial Rock. And then I also noticed some of the cracks here on the ground. So we'll follow up to see what we can do for some maintenance in that area. I think that concludes the report. There's helpful numbers on the back of my newsletter in case you need to call from that. But otherwise, happy to take any questions and thank you for your time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Board members, any questions for the senator?
Yeah, if I may ask, Chair,
Go ahead, Russell.
Senator, about that SB 3202, Senator Elefante, I mean, would it be you or someone else that maybe you can suggest that might be able to? I was trying to get that item before this board so that the community could be made aware of exactly what this bill is doing, because I've read certain various accounts of it, and I don't agree that it is it is up to the county of whether they want to take action or not. What I read in this bill is a mandate to the counties to take certain action and to allow certain type of dwellings. And if that's the case, maybe this board, even though it's become law, maybe want to take an official position on it, and maybe perhaps legislators like yourself or others could take action, try again to take action, maybe next session.
Yeah, if I may, respond to Board Member Suji's, question that he asked for me. So, yeah, it would mandate on the county level. It was introduced by Senator Chang on the Senate side. There are two companion bills. The Senate bill is the one that passed. It is not signed into law yet, so it is enrolled to the governor. So the board could take up a resolution offering their thoughts and suggestions and send that directly to the governor so that, you know, as he's weighing it in, deciding whether or not to sign it, veto it, or let it go into law without a signature, there's still that opportunity for the board and community to express your desires for that.
Chair, is that something we could take up at some meeting in the future?
I think so. Just, yeah, get with me and we can put it on the next agenda.
And someone who could maybe answer questions, is that something you could do, Senator, or someone else?
It's not my bill, and I don't sit on housing, so, you know, we don't weigh in usually until first, second, or third reading.
I mean,
So
or just give your opinion on it or something. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I share kind of what it does and kind of what my stance was on it and how I voted. I would encourage, if the board wanted to, you could invite the city's Department of Planning and Permitting or the Office of Planning from the State Department.
Office of Planning at the State.
Yeah, OP, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Introduce the bill if you want.
Thank you. Thanks.
All
Jim.
right, so yeah, hey Russell, let's come up with a plan. We'll get with Logan on it and see what our best course of action is to get this going. Okay, any other questions?
Oh, Chair, this is
Yes,
Richard.
Go ahead.
As Senator Elabonte mentioned, it's not signed into law yet, but the governor has until, I think, July 10 to do so. But that's before our next meeting in July, right? Because we're recessing next month. So unless we do like a special meeting on just this, we wouldn't make it in time for the governor's veto or not veto list deadline.
Why is it always like this? Okay. What do you want to do, Russell?
I mean, I wasn't necessarily thinking of trying to beat the governor's decision. I thought maybe I was just assuming it's going to get into law, and maybe some legislator might be able to help us take action if whatever position this board may want to take on that bill next session. I don't want to ask everybody to come in for a special meeting. That's a lot. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, nothing heard. All right. Thank you, Senator Alfonte.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great evening.
All right, we got 12 minutes. Representative Ichiyama's office, 12 minutes.
Holy Chair.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I actually want to clarify. Our meeting would be the day before the governor's ability to veto it. So, I mean, the timing kind of works out, but it's kind of too late to maybe give input at that point, right? So,
yeah,
it wouldn't hurt if you wanted to do it at the meeting, but it's probably moot at that point as well, unless he. Yeah, I mean.
Individual that is.
Yeah, so I mean, could I mean, maybe suggest, it's on the agenda, right? This specific discussion? No, it's not, okay, because I was gonna say, suggest maybe like, if you want to talk about points in a letter that Chairwood could write, it wouldn't be the same as a reso, but that could be an alternate. But if it's not on the agenda.
it's not on the agenda, so yeah, we can't do that. I would just recommend as individuals, if you have an issue with it, to go out and do your public comments on it, right? So, yeah, because I just don't think we have time at that point. is there, I mean, there's always ways we can do amendments so afterwards, right? Or try to get them to amend things, right? So let's see what's pushed first and then go back afterwards, right?
Amending the bill, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, we can make suggestions on how to amend whatever's approved, right?
But yeah, and I don't think they can amend at this point. It's either veto or
I think
become.
that'll be next section though. I think he's talking
Yeah,
about
but the
next
next
session.
session is what I'm talking about, not.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we'll have to address it in the future. We're just kind of too late to the game on this one right now, I think.
Well, but I think Senator Elefante left, but my understanding of the bill is that it's a state bill delegating the counties to allow additional dwellings.
It mandates them to make an ordinance to allow to.
But therefore, can we then address it to the mayor? To say that, or the city councilman saying that don't do what they.
Oh, but it's mandating them to change city ordinance.
Okay, so hold on. So this brings up a good discussion then. If the state's saying that, hey, we mandate that these counties go ahead and make their own decisions, right? Then really we just go to the counties and say,
But
hey,
it
this is
doesn't
what
do that. It doesn't do that, Chair. It actually mandates them to enact legislation to do these things, ABC. That's the way
So
I
then we just, then we get our voice added to that legislation that they got to do, right?
Yeah, so I think you can have influence on, I guess, the language that the ordinances.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. Yeah.
But in essence, it's they have to allow two dwelling units, but I guess maybe the process can be, influenced by this board or other boards, but,
Is there stipulations on this, like on terms of the 2 units, like how big they need to be, or is that left up to the counties?
my assumption is counties, but I don't know if Senator knows more.
You want me to answer that? I have to pull up the bill. Chair, I would just recommend, I mean, we have 9 minutes left and there's still.
Yeah, I know.
Got to their
Okay.
report.
All right, we're gonna table this. We just won't have time the day before. I think where we're gonna have to deal with this, Russell, is that once it passes and when it gets to the community level, then we'll work on it there.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Senator Ichiyama's office.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, Representative Ichiyama's office.
Oh, I circulated her report, Chair.
Okay, thank you. We'll look it over. Okay, Representative Kimau.
Good evening, everyone. I want to be as brief as possible. I do want to highlight some of the historic tax cuts that we made in this legislative session that you guys are going to see when you file your taxes just next year. So the standard deduction is being increased. It's doubling, actually. So you're going to be seeing really substantial tax cuts on your next standard deduction. And then the income brackets are going to be moving to adjust with the rising minimum wages. So families are going to be seeing a pretty substantial reduction in the taxes that they pay over the next so many years. And I'll be having a newsletter being mailed out to the community within the next couple of days that'll pretty much be outlining, these tax cuts. The legislature really wanted to reduce the cost of living, and this is the first step in that. I also want to highlight that in addition to doing these tax cuts, we also passed the Medicare, Medicaid, and TRICARE GET exemptions, which are projected at almost $80 million of GET income that the state would have received. So now medical providers, especially in rural communities, won't have to remit GET back to the state on some of these expenses that they weren't getting reimbursed from Medicare. So a really huge, really big tax changes, income tax changes this year. Hawaii went from one of the highest income tax states in the country, second highest, to the 4th lowest in the nation as far as tax implications are concerned. So just wanted to highlight that. I understand we're nearing time, so I will ask for any additional questions at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the representative? Okay, nothing heard. All right, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Representative Kong. Okay, nothing heard. the mayor's office, Mr. Mills is not going to be able to be here, but he did send me his report. I have sent that to all of you. To when you guys have a chance, take a look at your email, you'll see it on there. And Logan, I sent it to you too as well, so we can take notes out of it and post it. I don't know how we necessarily do that, but whatever.
Yeah, fair. That's my report. Yeah. So.
Okay. If I share my screen real quick, would you be able to include it in the minutes then?
It'll be in the minutes regardless. Yeah.
Regardless? Okay, great. Okay, we'll move on then. Okay, Councilmember Okimoto's office.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. We
Thank you, Chair.
we got 5 minutes.
Thank you, Board. I'll try to be quick here.
All right, thank you.
There's a special budget session yesterday. We introduced 5 substantial amendments that'll be noted in our newsletter. The CIP specific to Aiea would be $50,000 additional funding for the Newtown Neighborhood Park. Tomorrow during full council, we're introducing a charter amendment and 2 bills. Charter amendments going to create a homeless solutions advisory council specific to the city. Bill 26 is going to delineate the month of May, starting next year, as Honor Kuna Month. And Bill 28 expands the existing disabled veterans property tax exemption. It'll apply to veterans who are 80% or 100% totally disabled. And it also provides partial property tax exemption for disabled veterans who are less than 80%. We look like we were able to get a few fallen trees taken care of, and typical grass stuff for some of the Newtown Estates community. The park itself, we installed no overnight camping signs. We capped the water fountain so no showers can be taken there. And we installed planning on installing locks on the restroom facilities so people can't use them overnight. And then they'll be open to the public during the day. But I'll wrap it up there. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take those.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Councilmember Okimoto's office? Okay, nothing heard. Thank you. All right, Councilmember Cordero's office.
Chair Wood, members of the board, and yes, I'm Robert Sato with Councilmember Cordero's office. Submitted a report to you. You can take a look at that. There's some interesting things in there about traffic calming requests. Councilmember has been doing some cleanups and paint-outs in the neighborhood. I just wanted to talk about the possible monster home on Ali Poi Drive. If the address is 99-806, our office did receive some calls last year, which we forwarded it to DPP to investigate. And the short answer for their response is that the home is being built in compliance with the current zoning laws. So I did transmit the official DPP response to the chair for information purposes, but that's the response if that is the home that is of concern. If there's any questions, please let me know. You can call or email our office.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for making it brief. Any questions for Councilmember Cordero's office? Okay, nothing heard. Thank you. Thank you for your report. All right, moving on to reports. Board member attendance at other meetings. I think I attended 2, right? So May and myself attended the Hawaiian cement factory or cement quarry, whatever you want to call it. And I think we talked about that. And then also Glenn and I, or Paul and I, attended the meeting over at the stadium, and I think we kind of talked about that as well. So is there been any other attendance of meetings that people want to, that the board members wanted to share with the board?
Chair.
Go ahead.
I had attended that symposium that was last month, and so if you guys have a chance, definitely go check out the website. They posted it in the chat.
Symposium for what, Francie?
The Breaking Cycles Symposium.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, any others? Okay, Claire, moving on to community reports. Claire, you got anything? No? Can't hear you.
I don't see.
ACA meeting will be next Monday on the 20th at 7 o'clock in the same room.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Committees, I got nothing for executive. Chemo?
Not here.
Okay, community relations, publicity is vacant. Park and Recs,
Nothing.
planning and zoning,
Not here.
Fair Restoration Advisory Board, military and intergovernmental affairs. Fancy?
I think we covered a lot during the Navy section, so.
Yep, I think we did too. Red Hills Fuel Tanks, I know Tracy's on, but no.
Yeah, Tracy said none.
Okay. Education and culture, Danny.
Just want to thank Senator Elefante, and Claire and members of the Aiea Community Association for coming to the Hale Haola Ho'ike with the Aiea High School students in April. And then we have upcoming workday this Saturday, weather dependent.
Okay. All right. With that, we're going to move on to announcements. Next meeting will be in July. June, we will be in recess. Everything else, you can see us on Olelo and YouTube. Take a look at the listings on the agenda. With that, we're adjourned. 10:01.
Yes.
Hey, Logan, can you stay on for a second after? So thank you everybody for participating, by the way, appreciate it. Logan, that the audio, so
Sure, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Thanks.